What's the craziest thing you've ever done? Coke? Crack? Meth?
Molly?
All the
Shrooms?
above.
All at the same
All of the
time.
above. At the same time?
Candy flip?
No, that's
Y'all have
crazy.
candy flip before?
Candy flip? Isn't that like
What?
E and
LSD?
Molly? No.
LSD, I think.
Oh, LSD. Oh, yeah.
It's
yeah.
Wait, what-
LSD and
what?
Molly.
LSD and
I
Molly.
think.
Yeah.
Wait, what is?
Candy flip?
Candy flips.
Damn,
Know
you.
that.
What the
You do
fuck?
both.
I've never heard of that.
You mix it or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I've never done it, but yeah. So I've heard.
So I heard. What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Todo Chido. Of course, I am your host, Jalissa, and I'm here with the boys, Steve and Brandon. Say what's up, you guys.
What's up, dude?
And we have a special guest today. We got Chad.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Oh, my God.
So for those of you who don't know, Chad is kind of like the fourth member of this show.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because on the show we always talk about me and Brandon obviously have known each other since we were like 5 years old, and then bro, I've known you. We met in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So
Oh, dude, that's so sweet.
so you fit, yeah, you fit right in.
So he's also
appreciate
been.
that.
Yeah, and you know my sister also.
Yeah, of course.
No, yeah, I always say that I don't remember meeting Steve, but I remember I knew you before him. So,
Really?
Yeah. So, but I also don't remember how I met you.
No, it's okay.
Oh yeah, for those of you who don't know,
Maybe it was our dads.
Yeah,
Probably. Yeah.
This is the all-star team. You guys used to play in our middle school fucking basketball
Yes, right.
Before
The dream
my,
team
before
over
my career-ending injury.
team. You think you would have been 5 rings?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Bro, you know when I was a kid, I was fucking like I was super scared of playing like sports. I don't know why. But
Why?
like,
No,
I don't know. I just like that shit. Like something was so intimidating about it to me. So whenever I saw you guys play, I'd be like, damn, like I for real saw like Jordan and Kobe playing. And, like, you guys were like Shaq and Kobe. Whenever I see you guys play, bro, I still remember I fucking went after school once to like see you guys play, and like I think you guys lost.
Of
Yeah.
course we did.
Yeah. What was your guys? Do you guys remember your like
Record?
your record?
There was only
Dude, did we?
there was only one
that
year
one
that we
year.
were good. Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
There's only
Oh,
one-
your
With,
96 Bulls year?
Yeah.
that year we were like actually good.
Yeah.
But that was because because it was such a small school, like there was nobody to play, so they had to open it up to like lower grades. So we'd be out there playing with like actual little kids,
Yeah.
while the other team had like at like 13-year-olds,
Yeah,
which
like-
at the time was like they're huge.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But then 1 year. The year we're talking about, that
Yeah.
was when like the older kids actually played.
Yeah, I
And
think
we
we
were
were.
actually good. Yeah.
I was in 6th grade, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I think we had like a legit team though. We had like a full team.
I feel like-
You know, it was like actual
felt
team.
I feel like I remember that. 'Cause
Yeah,
eventually
yeah.
they even got a coach for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's funny is that you guys didn't have like uniforms until later, right?
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys
we had
didn't have-
t-shirts.
It was
t-shirts.
t-shirts. It was t-shirts.
And we had to
It
give
was
those back.
t-shirts and-
Yeah.
I didn't get to keep
They
them,
were
man. I was like,
yours.
what the hell?
They even had your name and they'd be like, give me that
Really?
shit back.
They did, right?
Was
They,
it our names?
they let you keep the shorts though, no?
Yeah.
Shorts?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
Hey, bro, dubs a dub.
no, but our shorts were the PE shorts.
They were the
So-
blue ones.
So it was like they weren't uniform shorts. Remember when PE we had shorts? They were those. We had
But
to
Oh,
wear.
so they just give
eventually
you
they transitioned.
Yeah,
fucking
but
school uniforms?
No,
Fucking hand-me-downs.
eventually we got uniforms though, like actual
Yeah,
ones,
yeah.
and they were kind of
Jerseys?
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, they were.
they were kind of
pretty
cool.
Were
What
you
number
like,
were
damn, I'm play so good?
What
Like,
number were you?
I think it was number 6.
I thought I was number 6
Oh, really?
I'm dead.
because I know.
Or maybe I was 4, actually. I could have
I
been
don't
4.
remember.
could've
I don't
been
remember.
4.
I think I might still have the.
was there a
jersey.
reason you guys chose those numbers?
LeBron number 6.
Oh,
I
oh,
think-
so you were a LeBron fan
no.
even back then?
Yeah, he was, bro.
I was LeBron
And Derrick
fan.
Rose, bro.
Yeah,
And Derrick Rose.
I was a LeBron fan since like day one.
Yeah.
So
he
it's not a
was.
bandwagon thing with me.
Nah, nah, nah.
Hey,
He's-
okay.
he's
I'll
legit.
respect that. I'll
Yeah,
respect
yeah.
that. He's not the
Okay.
GOAT, but I'll
There's
respect it.
there's evidence, bro, that he's been a fan.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
There
I
you go.
respect that. But going back to the subject,
Oh, my bad.
one of the things I wanted you here for, Chad, is because I always thought that it was funny that we grew up together, because I always feel like Mexicans and Filipinos have like a lot like in common.
For sure.
And I wanted to ask you, like, bro, how did your family get here? Because I actually don't know.
So thank you for asking first and foremost. Like,
Yeah.
wait. Like, I just want to say, like, you guys, I'm fucking proud of you guys. Real talk.
Oh, thank
This
you.
is amazing. Like,
Thank you.
thank you for having me, and
Yeah,
thank you
of
for
course.
this crazy opportunity. And yeah, like,
Thank
Nothing
you,
but
bro.
great
Thank you.
futures
Yeah.
for you guys.
Thank you.
Are you first generation or are your parents? Who came
My
here?
parents. So speaking of my parents, hi mom, hi dad. I love you guys. Yeah. My mom came here when she was 13 so she has two other siblings. She's the middle child, and then my dad came here when he was 17. So
Oh shit.
yeah, so he low-key has like somewhat of an accent still, so
He
we
has
always
what?
clown him. He still
An
has an
accent?
accent.
Oh yeah.
So like
yeah.
we always clown him like that. But it's cool. But yeah, they came here, I think through a visa that my mom's mom, so my grandma's sister. So she came here first, and then I guess she like, I don't know, took everyone in like one by one. So that's how like
That's cool.
slowly came here.
So they came like totally legally, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why I expected some like they were snuck in here on a plane or some shit
on a boat,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, hey, that's racist.
FOB.
I would never say that.
Fresh off the boat. There's a show Fresh Off the Boat. I'm like, I was like, yeah, that's me.
Bro, but imagine 17. Could you imagine yourself at 17
crazy.
coming here?
Nah,
Or
hell
to
no.
a different
So
country?
he went to Eagle Rock High School.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like
Really?
literally my whole family, or his side, my dad's side, went to Eagle Rock High School. And like they just, I guess kind of I don't know if you noticed, but Eagle Rock is like very like Filipino central, very like
I've heard.
a lot
I've
of
heard,
Filipinos are like Seafood City.
Yeah.
That's our headquarters.
Jollibee, bro.
Jollibee,
Come on,
I was
man.
just gonna say
My
Jollibee's
mascot.
like
Like,
Have you been to the Philippines a lot since?
I've been lucky enough to be there like 3 times. I want to say. I think the
Oh,
most-
only 3?
Yeah, the most recent time I've been there was in 2018,
Oh, really?
which is surprised my grandpa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you close to your grandpa?
Very much so. He actually just went back to the Philippines. He was here like for
Oh, shit.
maybe 8 months.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was the longest he's ever been here. But yeah,
Did
it
he
was
like
really-
it?
in the Philippines?
No, here.
Did he like it here?
Yeah.
Well, actually, in all honesty, he got a little homesick because
Aw.
like that's where he grew up. Like that's
Mhm.
like his
Yeah.
home. Like
yeah.
so when we called him right when he landed or when he got back, he's like, "So, Papa, how are you? How's everything?" He's like, "I'm cool. Everything's fine. I feel in my zone or in my environment." So I was like, I was happy for him. You
That's
know,
cool.
of course it hurt, not hurt, but like I miss him. But
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time, it's like I feel happy
For
for him
sure.
too. So
No, yeah. My
Yeah.
grandma's didn't really like being here.
yeah,
My dad's mom
Oh, yeah.
didn't like it at all here.
really.
Yeah.
She stayed here for like because she was sick, so she had to stay here for like her checkups,
Mm-hmm.
her monthly checkups. She stayed for like maybe like a year and a half here, and she didn't like it. And then she went to New York to go visit her other
New York,
kids.
damn.
Yeah, because her
Yeah.
other kids are
Big
there.
family, bro.
And she didn't like it either. She was like, I don't like it. I was like, she's like, the only reason I would come here again is just to visit my daughter.
Yeah.
She's like, I would never stay here.
Yeah. You know what
Yeah,
American
fair
food she didn't like? She didn't like pizza. Yeah, she didn't like pizza at all. She's like, why the fuck do you guys eat this trash? What she would do is she would get the pizza and she would cut off the like end crust and
Yeah,
then she would
really?
just eat the bread. She's like, I wish she would say shit like, I wish they just sold the bread.
Should have just gotten her
Breadsticks.
breadstick. Yeah. But my mom's mom, she did live here for a good while. I remember seeing her here when I was like 3, but I know she's been here for like a good while. Cause she would come here for work
Oh
when my
wow.
mom was like younger.
Mm.
But yeah, she was here for a good while and then she moved back. And what was crazy is that like she was getting a little like sick.
Okay.
And like she couldn't like really walk as much anymore.
Right.
And then when she moved back, she was like totally fine.
Wow.
Like she was just like she didn't have to use like her cane anymore.
True.
Like
Maybe
she
the
was just
pollution too.
walking.
I don't know.
Bro,
like,
Yeah.
what does that
you know what I
say? What
mean?
does that
Like,
Yeah,
mean?
well, cause there it's a small town, so you kind of have to walk
Oh,
everywhere. So
true.
she was more
More
used
active.
To, yeah, she was. used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
being,
Same with my
more
grandpa.
active.
Like he would just stay like walking around like in the backyard, like in the streets. But like that's just most activity he get. But like over there, he'll walk in the streets, go get groceries and stuff. So
yeah.
that's
I
why
mean,
he
you
liked
think
it. Yeah.
you think being in the U.S. makes you more lazy, or you think it's just because like it's like more dangerous?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a convenient thing.
Yeah.
I
also
feel like
think-
everything is just easily accessible
I
nowadays,
also-
especially nowadays.
Yeah, I also think it's just like things are far.
Yeah.
Where it's like if like say like our grandma is going to the store, it's like right there.
Oh yeah.
But like for us, we have to like take a car.
Drive.
yeah,
Yeah.
the walkable cities.
Yeah.
We would always go like during like summer to to Mexico, right? To
Yeah,
visit. I remember that.
bro. I would go fucking.
remember
You know
that.
what's funny? We were like kind of talking about it like last episode
Uh-huh.
about how like remember I would always go for Christmas.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
There
fucking
you go.
hated that shit.
What, really?
Yeah, it's like I fuck with Mexico. Like I like the country and like the setting and everything. But I hated like leaving during Christmas season of like school because that's when like the teachers basically don't give a fuck and they let you like just chill.
Yeah.
I would never get that. Like when school would be the most fun, that's when my parents are like, it's time to dip. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah.
Because I
true.
remember doing like the Christmas programs, and
Oh, yeah.
like those were always fun, but we
Yeah.
never got to participate in them. And what sucked
true.
is that like because you didn't get to participate in them, they would just ignore you like
Yeah,
in school.
They would.
They would just
they
they would make
would.
us just
They
sit
Like, go
on the
stand
side.
over, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they wouldn't pay attention to us,
That's
or they
true,
wouldn't like
that's
do
true.
anything. Yeah,
They're like,
they
you're
would
not
just
gonna be here.
ignore
All
us.
right, get out of here.
They would. It felt like they were mad at us for not participating, and it's like, bro, how is that
It's like
my
our
fault?
fault. Yeah.
No, that's
Dude, shit. You guys are. I envied you guys. I fucking hated being in those things.
yeah. Where they make you
remember.
dance and
Bro,
shit.
they fucking suck.
Did you like? Yeah. Wait, did you like it?
It was cool. It was whatever.
Wait, how come you didn't like it? How come you didn't like it?
Because
I couldn't sing.
I thought it was cringe. Or like, not.
Even as a kid.
Yes, I thought it was cringe, bro. Well, nobody wanted to be in it. Do you remember they made that poor girl sing and she didn't want to sing, so every practice she would just cry?
I remember
she was so
that.
shy.
That wasn't
Was that your
even. Yeah, that wasn't
was your
even
class.
Christmas. That was like the spring break.
That
one,
was the
right?
spring concert or whatever.
Oh yeah, there was 2 concerts we had. Jesus.
Well,
Yeah.
there was a couple because I remember I think we used to have some around like Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you did too. Yeah,
I remember you
that.
did a.
Bro,
We're
remember
all
we-
in this together.
I was gonna say they made us dance High School Musical.
they made them dance.
We're on-
That's-
I remember
Fucking-
that.
Oh my god! I remember.
remember
I
that.
still remember somebody tried to do like a cartwheel and like it was like the worst cartwheel I've ever seen. Bro, just like he just like rolled.
saddest.
Yeah, he like fell right on his
I remember
ass.
we did a mix of something, and it was a "Please Don't Stop the Music" by Rihanna.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's a good song.
Yeah, it was like a whole remix. We had a whole like dance and shit. Yeah,
Come up with the whole
Bruh.
routine. And
yeah.
I remember my brother once. I think it's the same one where you're saying the girl cried. We were that's because she was Dorothy, right? And we were
Yeah,
drinking.
somewhere
We were
over
doing
there,
the
right?
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I remember for that one. Do you remember we had to come
Oh.
out? What was your part? I was just like one of the munchkins. Like I was just.
For the Wizard of Oz?
I was just one of the guys like in the background. What was your part? Was it
Honestly,
munchkin
don't
too?
remember though.
No, I remember.
Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I vaguely remember, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I remember for me, I remember we had to like jump around or whatever. And I remember my brother, he was fucking recording me. And then after the dance, I remember I looked at it. And it's just basically like 20 minutes of my brother just straight up roasting me. He's like zooming into me and he's like, oh my God, it's Brock Lesnar. Because you know how he like jumps around? No, yeah, I was like, bro. That's when I started to be like, this shit is
The,
cringe.
the
as
one,
fuck.
the one I did like though was when we did the Stations of the Cross. I don't know. That one,
Stations was
that
yeah.
one was cool.
That was yeah.
I was the weeping woman.
Oh yeah. That was,
I was
who I
I was
was.
Pontius Pilate. I was the guy that killed
you
Jesus.
were?
Yeah.
Damn.
best
You
part.
sentenced him like, yo,
Mhm.
Jesus.
Why is that the best part?
Cause you sit down in the chair the whole time and
True.
watch.
Oh, you
and
just watch? The
Yeah.
play? You didn't get like anxiety? All the people in the church seeing you?
No,
True.
because I was in a dripped out costume because I was the king,
Yeah.
and then I just got to
Crown
sit
and
down.
everything.
I remember you were like, that's right, entertain me.
Yeah,
You
and I
got
was
into the mindset?
Yeah, what were you weren't Jesus? It was
Nah.
it was I won't say his name, but
Oh yeah, I was Simon, the guy who helped Jesus carry his cross.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Bro, I remember I was one of the Roman soldiers.
You whipped them,
and
right?
Yeah.
this is like a super funny story. I remember they gave me a real whip, like an authentic whip, because I mean they wanted to show, you
So,
know,
yeah.
especially because in our school, since we went to a private school, it was like the 8th graders. It's a privilege to be like that, so they took it that seriously. So they gave me a real whip. And they made me like practice it like over and over. But we did, how many times would we do the Stations of the Cross, like the play? It would
Like
be like
Once a year.
no, but
like
we would do it multiple times,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We do it multiple
Oh,
times. I mean,
no,
like
at
in
least
the
twice.
span of like a
no,
week,
we
right?
did it. I think we
Yeah.
did it once for like the students, and then we did it once.
That's
like,
right,
at a
for the
church,
parents.
Like,
Oh,
for-
yeah.
That's
And-
right.
Um,
Yeah.
I think. Oh, you know what it was? It's because like I had practiced it so much. I had like done it now twice that I was kind of just like tired. I was like in my own head. Especially it was long.
It
I swear
was.
I don't know how long it was, but as a kid it felt like it was 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just like in my own mind, and I went to whip the guy who was playing like Jesus, and I accidentally missed my mark, and I hit him for reals like on his back. Like so basically I just whipped him. And I remember I was like, oh shit, but I didn't think anything of it. And then like 40 minutes later when the play ends, I remember I talked to him and I was like, oh, bro, like, did you notice when I hit you? And he's like, bro, it took everything in me not to cry. Because you're like 13 years old. And I'm like, bro, like, I gave him a grown man, like fucking lash, you know? Not even Jesus could take it, you know? Yeah. So, like, he was fucked up. You don't miss that, bro? You wouldn't want to be in a performance now? As an adult?
I was in two of them. I was in yours and in mine.
Oh yeah.
I was the narrator for your guys, and then I was
yeah.
Poncho Pilot for mine.
Oh.
The narrator was weird.
That's cool.
I think my mom liked when we were in 7th grade, the grade above us, 8th graders. I think she said that was like low-key the best one. We weren't even in it. We were just like low-key. That was like.
Yeah, she's keeping it real, bro. Your
I know.
mom's keeping it real.
Thanks, mom.
Bro, what's the Philippines like? Because I've never like even like seen like geographically or like the environment. What is it like?
It's very humid. So my uncle, he's been to Mexico. He married my aunt. She's Mexican, and he compared it to Mexico. And it's like very humid, very very sticky, very. I don't know. Yeah, very.
What
very
humid
humid
means like? I mean, I know it's gonna make me sound dumb, but
nah.
Humid means like
very hot
and moist air.
Moist, yeah, yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was kind of Well, we went. At least the times I went, it was like, I went during Christmas and New Year. That was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as humid, but I went, and the most recent time I went, it was like in August, and like that was hell. Like, yeah, mosquitoes everywhere. It was just, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to like talk. You know,
I know.
I love the Philippines, man. I love it there. It's really
would you retire there? Like, if you got older, would you go back to the homeland and like live there?
As far as retiring there and like living there, I don't think so. Personally,
No.
yeah. My parents have talked about it, like.
Oh, them doing it?
Yeah, but I don't think they would either. Honestly. Yeah, I don't think
Just all talk.
Yeah, I think it's all bark, no bite.
Well, that's weird because Julia, our parents say the same thing, right? They're gonna retire like in Mexico, or they've thought about retiring in Mexico.
Yeah, they've thought about it, but I think they've just seen how kind of like violent it's getting, and they've just been like no about it. Well, because before they would say yeah, because they had already like built a house and everything there.
Yeah.
But now they're a little more of like they just feel like it's getting like dangerous and stuff.
Fair enough.
And then the other part is just like they don't like how people are anymore over there.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
like culturally.
Yeah. Well, most like the town. I think they're just like they're so used to just living in a big city now that they don't want to live somewhere small anymore.
True.
Which is why I think they bought like a whole new house.
Here,
Here because they were just like I think they were trying to find like a retirement home here,
for
like
sure.
a home.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I actually asked my dad because they wanted to actually move to Oceanside in San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
So they were trying to move to San Diego. Originally, they were trying to move there. And I had when we first moved into like our new house now, I asked my dad, I was like, oh, are you guys still thinking about like moving to Oceanside? Mm-hmm. And then my dad was like, no, like we already bought a house. Like I think this is our place. Like I think this is where we're gonna stay.
I like.
And I was like, wow, that's cool. I was like, because they were looking for it, and I guess it was more of like because they couldn't find a house out here in LA. Mm-hmm. They were just thinking of like we'll just go to Oceanside because they actually want to live like kind of by like the water.
Oh, that's nice.
So they were like, oh, I think we're just gonna move to Oceanside. But then I remember when we first moved to our new house, my dad was like, no, we already bought a new house. Like I think this is the place where we want to retire.
That's nice.
And then I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
I was like so happy because I was like, wow, like they actually found the home that they wanted in LA.
Amazing,
you know? So I know for sure they are probably gonna stay here in LA. Yeah. For me, I remember being like, I always wanted to move to Mexico. Mm-hmm. Just because I feel like the way I saw it was because we would, how you said, like we would go in summer and winter a lot. Mm-hmm. I saw it more as like we lived in Mexico and we would just come out here to just do school.
Oh wow!
That's how I saw it because we would do it so consistently.
Yeah.
Because we would go we used to go for a long while. Like basically like 3 weeks.
That's a lot.
For sure. When we were kids, it did feel like that. It felt like being here in the U.S. was like a temporary thing, and we'd eventually like. Because my parents, when we were younger, I feel like they talk about it more about eventually all moving there. Yeah. And obviously, I'm a kid. I'm like, well, I mean, if they move there, I'll probably move there too. I
have to go. Yeah. Where am I gonna go?
Yeah. So I would always be like, fuck, man. Like I would hang out with you guys like at school and be like. it's not too long after I'll be back across the border.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because when we were younger, they were more on like moving back. But I think now they're kind of just like they just want to stay here.
To like staying here.
I think they just like it being out here a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I saw it. Because we would go all the time, and like for winter, I mean, we would be gone for all of our our whole break.
Yeah,
we would be gone our whole break. So that's why for me, growing up, I saw it more as like we live there, and then we just came here for school. Because that's all essentially. I mean, at least for me, that's essentially what I would always just do. I would just like focus on school, and then my break was legit always being in Mexico. At least that's how I remember it. Eventually, I mean, I kind of stopped because I started having like summer school and like all that stuff. Like I would have actual school during the breaks.
Would pretty much miss out on that. And just stay here.
Yeah. So then that's kind of how I grew up on it. And I really liked going. Like that's why I was genuinely like I wanted to move there and live there.
Do you still want it?
I don't know anymore. Yeah. I feel like maybe, but I think legit what got me to not go back is just knowing how kind of dangerous it's getting, or it had been getting. I don't know how really it is now. I mean, you hear stuff every once in a while about it. Because I always think of like the students who like disappeared in Mexico. And that's like in Mexico City. Like I've heard that like Mexico City is a little more dangerous than like where my parents are from.
Okay.
So like I would live where my parents are from, because I remember just being like I kind of wanted to like isolate.
Yeah.
Because like it's a small town, like nobody really like knows about it.
Yeah.
It's very naturey and like all that. So I remember being like I legit want to live there and like just be there.
Yeah. Very Bruce Banner, like Hulk. Like
yeah.
Like very aesthetically that.
Yeah.
Like that's where my parents are kind of from. Like super far away
because they're not from
everything.
like the city.
Yeah.
Like they're from like a small
like
little village.
It's literally like a village. It's
Yeah.
like a small
That's
village.
cool.
Which is why like I wanted to like live there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I feel like I'm not very like I'm not a city girl.
What do you mean?
I mean, I grew up in LA, but I remember at the time I was always like, I don't know, I really like living in an area where it's not very like there's not a lot like it's very
slower,
quiet.
like a slower pace.
Yeah.
She wants to be you so
Quiet.
bad, Brandon.
I know what happened. I thought you were like San Francisco. Oh my god.
San Francisco is cool because I mean, at least the way I kind of grew up, like seeing it, it's not super in the city. And I think what I also liked about it is that I can use like public transportation. I don't need to drive. I hate driving. Like that's my big thing. Is
driving in San Francisco is even
I
crazier.
feel like it's so. I always hear girls don't like driving. I feel like it's such a common thing.
I don't know, maybe.
What do you think that is? Have you seen those memes that are even like girls like, damn, that curb jumped out of nowhere? Bro, actually,
well, the only reason I think that happens
like a
lot.
tweet.
It's because I've noticed. So in my car, I actually have like a what do you call those? You know how the chairs have like comforters or like pillows on them?
The bolster. Oh yeah, yeah.
Pillows on the chairs. So I actually have that in my car, and the reason I have that is because like since I'm really short, I can't see. So
like
I have to. So I have a little like pillow on like my chair. And I've noticed because I've driven in like my other friends' cars. And I basically have an SUV. They have like smaller cars. They have like Camrys and all that. So it's a lot lower. So what I've noticed is that you can't see like as someone who's short, and a lot of my friends are really really short, you can't see like
that's
like
tough.
you can't even see like on your thing. That's why a lot of the wheels are like adjustable or they're lower. Because like legit, if like me and my friend, if I drive in my friend's car, it's like this. Like I'm like this. So like that's why I'm like I feel like that's why it's kind of like we legit like some girls can't see legit like in those cars because they're not really built for like us, I guess.
So that's why that's the explanation as to why girls hate driving.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or at least hit curbs.
Bro, do you have a lot of family in the Philippines?
I do actually. Mainly my mom's side, I want to say.
Yeah.
But they will actually move to Canada. Like a good
What?
amount of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I have a lot of family members in Canada too.
Nice.
Yeah. Vancouver. Yeah.
How come what like attracts them to Canada?
I don't know. I feel like I think my mom's my dad's dad's side, so my grandpa's side,
Yeah.
they migrated to Canada just because I don't know what honestly the real reason was. I just think
Something-
I think it was
bro,
easier.
the ancestors were calling.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
No, yeah. Do you ever get like a generational gap talking to like your older family members? Because like for at least for our family, I remember it was my older brother, like because he has piercings, and I remember when he first went to Mexico, they were like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Like, why are you wearing piercings? Like, are you a girl?" And I get that too, because obviously I have piercings and I have a piercing on my nose, and then I also have tattoos. So obviously the older generation's like, "Yo, what the fuck?
Is it? Yeah.
Like, what's up with that? Do you ever get that?"
Not really. I feel like, not that I've experienced anything like that. I think a lot of my family members are kind of open to that, especially because
that's cool.
I have a lot of family members who are like who are gay. So they're.
wow.
At first I was like, damn, are they gonna like cast them out, like shy them away, like completely like disown them or something like that? But no, thankfully they're not. Especially because my family's kind of religious too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think Filipinos in general, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's another
religious.
similarity is like between Mexicans and Filipinos. We're very religious.
Yeah. Dude, because I remember in high school I learned like I saw this documentary about in Philippines. They have the Stations of the Cross too, right? Where
For sure, it's like a whole big ass thing.
They're also Catholics,
right? Yeah, predominantly,
Yeah.
It's a whole. They have a whole festival.
We all got what is it?
It's
kind of like
it's because Filipinos and Mexicans are like half siblings because we were both like the bastard kids of like the Spaniards. We were both like indigenous people who like fucking like the colonizers came and like took over. That's why even like some of our languages like are even similar.
Dude, my last name Garganta, literally just throw, bro. Like what? Like what?
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
Like,
I always thought your last name was interesting because I was like, it's Garganta.
I know, right? When I met you,
yeah,
throat goat.
Come on, man, I got a little bit to my name.
But also, like, it's weird because even some like Mexicans and Filipinos like look the same.
Yeah,
like,
bro, literally.
You ever meet you ever meet someone who's like, "Oh, you're Mexican," huh? It's like, bro, I'm Filipino.
No, yeah. People always think
way?
I'm like half, or I never get like Filipino. Honestly, I always get like half something, like half Mexican, half Hispanic, or like.
They think you're like the Rock and shit, huh?
Yeah, Samoan or something. I don't know.
No, there's definitely like a lot of similarities between like Mexican and Filipino people. For sure, the religion thing,
Religion, yeah,
super religious.
Like the watered down versions of Mexicans, honestly. Someone told me that Filipinos are like the Mexicans of the Asians, which is really true.
The Mexicans of the Asians.
Yeah.
Wait, so the Mexicans? So Mexicans are the what? The Mexicans of the Spanish?
Spanish, I guess.
I guess.
Or South America? I don't know. I took it as a compliment. I was like, hell yeah.
Like, I fuck with Mexican people.
Yeah,
like,
hell yeah.
That's cool.
I always say like I'm a Filipino kid who grew up with Hispanics, which is pretty much exactly how I.
Yeah.
Like,
you're basically Mexican, bro.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
I fuck
Honorary.
with. I really fuck with like the Mexican and Filipino relationship because like we've been there since like even historically like what was it called, the Cesar Chavez?
Oh yeah, bro. The Delano.
The fucking, what are they called? The big Cesar Chavez.
Cesar Chavez, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The protests were like.
Yeah.
For the migrant workers.
Yeah, for
rights,
for the farmers, right?
Farmers,
for the farmer workers.
Yeah.
No, I need. There's a name for it. It's like famous here in California, bro.
What are you talking about?
It's like Cesar Chavez was like fuck. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
He was protesting for
like
equal rights, for pay and like better like
Yeah, but there was like a name for the movement.
like the march. Oh, the march, something march, right?
The march something.
You're not
There's
talking
even
about
the
like
no, it's even the flag. The flag with the eagle. Yeah. Fuck, man. All right, I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna look it up. Yeah.
I don't know what he's referring to.
I don't know either.
I know what you mean
you
because
guys
like,
don't. Yeah, I'm glad you know.
I remember I heard
the
that
Mexican Filipino connection.
I remember hearing that in school. I was like, Filipinos, really? We out here? Like, come on.
Yeah, because like historically, like a lot of people in who are Mexican, like they talk about like that movement and forget to like include like Filipinos. But Filipinos were, I think, the second largest group that like Cesar Chavez was fighting for. Man, I'm trying to remember. It's the National Farm Workers Association.
Yeah.
Agricultural workers, but it was called something. Whatever.
Does it start with a P?
I don't know. I don't know. But either way, not only that, but you know, like, do you know what the Zoot riots are?
Vaguely, like in LA. And
yeah, so it was like way back in the day, like a bunch of sailors for like 3 nights. They were basically like coming into LA and like basically like ripping like Mexicans out of their homes and like beating them up and like obviously sexually abusing some of the women. But like what a lot of people don't know is that one of the people who were also affected by the Zoot riots were Filipinos. That like that they were the second largest group that when people came in with the Zoot riots, they attacked Mexicans and Filipinos specifically. Maybe it's because I guess we look the same, or either way, like we share that like trauma bond, you know,
literally.
like and that's why, bro. That's why I've always fucked with Filipinos because like Mexican Filipinos were basically like brothers, bro.
I always saw them as cousins.
Literally. A lot of my family members are like half Hispanic, half Mexican, half Filipino. Like,
oh, for real?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. My cousins, like my really close cousins, and they've all married Hispanic women or Hispanic men, and we just kind of like correlated between each other. Yeah, it's really cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, I even have a homie right now, and he's in San Francisco. Like he's living it up over there, and right there, there's not a lot of like Mexican people. So he's So people always say what's up to him, and they always think that he's Filipino. Yeah. And he's like, no, bro, like I'm full on like Mexican. Like, damn. But that's cool. I feel the bond, bro. I feel the bond really strongly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, bro, you have important news that you need to teach me about.
I was gonna ask you first. Do you consider yourself Asian or Pacific Islander?
It's a great question. I think back in the day, I considered myself Pacific Islander. But I think now I just consider myself Asian. I really don't care, honestly. I like just to say I'm Filipino. You know, I don't say like I'm Asian.
No, I fuck with that.
I'm Filipino.
I fuck with that.
I'm like not to be like cocky or whatever. Like,
go ahead,
I'm proud
bro.
to be Filipino. You know what I mean?
Speak Tagalog right now.
Yeah. Putangina.
What does that mean?
Fuck you.
Sorry. You got my ass. You got my ass. No, that's
Okay.
Mahal kita. That means I love you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you saved it. You saved it. He took it back basically.
Yeah.
Bro, now how about this podcast is Asian for this episode? Wow. We're we're bringing cultures together.
Yes.
Julie, so how do you feel now that half this group is Asian?
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
I
She's
love the
lying.
diversity. I love the diversity.
Her skin's crawling right now.
What? I love Filipinos, bro. I knew we were all related. That's why I'm.
No, yeah. In middle school, I was because in high school I met a bunch of Filipinos who were like, I'm not Asian, I'm Pacific Islander, and that was news to me because you always told me you were Asian. So I mean, I didn't. You
you didn't question his identity.
No, yeah, I didn't question his identity. I was like, that's cool. But in middle school. I mean, I don't know. There's some people I don't look at, but when I was younger, I did. So I consider him like the only other Asian guy there. So I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember when this fool shaved his head. I remember I was like, damn, you are Mexican. Like the roots came out.
Down ass fool.
It's crazy because you would pull up and I'd be like, bro, there's no way anybody would ever confuse you for any other race. It just really came out. What do you think would make you look more Asian? If a shaved head makes you?
I don't know. I honestly sometimes don't even know what I look like because it's like some people will immediately be like, oh, like what are you, like Korean or and I'll be like, really? Like, you know, or then some people just be like, oh, you're white, you know, which I get that a lot as well. And then what's weird though is Asians will never recognize me as Asian. It's always like the opposite. They'll always be like, you're like Mexican or something, right? Which is funny because I'm like, I look Mexican? I don't think so.
They smell it on you, bro.
They smell it.
But you smell like burritos and, and tacos.
But usually Mexican people are the ones who are like, they'll immediately call me like Chino or something. I'll be like, I guess you got it right.
How's it like with your family?
I guess you got it right.
Because your family, when you go to like family gatherings, you have like Asian family there, no?
I mean, they never really intertwine. Like unless it's like it has
for real?
Well, because it's just me and my sister who are like, because I have other brothers, but we're half. So like unless it's like a me event and I don't really do me events, or like my sister event and she doesn't really do my sister events, they both sides don't really show up, you know. So it's like, yeah, they're pretty,
They usually keep to themselves, kind of.
Yeah, well, when my sister had a quinceañera, they showed up because you know it's
yeah.
my sister, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, no, yeah.
That's cool. Was that funny?
Yeah, a little, because I was like, you know, like.
Oh, you can see them?
Yeah, I was like,
That's cool.
You know.
What are those Asian fools doing here?
Are they lost?
So are you like connected to your, like, do you have cousins?
I was mostly.
Yeah, actually, I never knew about this too. Either.
Well, yeah, I do have family, but I don't.
Is it your mom?
It's my mom.
She's half, right?
Yeah, she's half.
too?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's like I don't know. When I was younger, we used to celebrate like Chinese New Year a lot more.
That's cool.
Not so much these days.
Mhm.
Guess we just kind of grew out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had family there. They were like they were interesting because they were half Chinese, half Japanese.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
So,
I
it's,
didn't
so
know
it's like
that.
interesting.
Damn.
No, but yeah,
Isn't there like beef there?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
about to
That's
say, yeah, for
like
sure.
that's like the story because like my grandma's mom, my great grandma.
Mm.
That's what she was there when like the Japanese like invaded
Invaded.
China.
They were like
Oh,
World War II.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like she really did not like Japanese people, like, you know. I'm not saying that's okay, but she didn't like
No,
Japanese
yeah.
people. But then her daughter, my grandma's sister, she married a Japanese guy. So so like she supposedly, from what I hear, she didn't like that at all. But I always thought he was cool. So
He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was a cute story.
He
where it
doesn't
was
seem like he
wow.
invade the country.
like, this guy, you know. Like,
Could it be him?
no, yeah.
Do you like want to bring back traditions or like of your
I mean,
culture?
definitely. It's just like from when I was a kid, people were pretty racist to me about that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I guess I'm not Asian
Oh,
because
like
it was
discouraging.
more like, I guess it's not cool, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of lost it a little bit.
Mhm.
And I also feel like, what's the expression? Jack of all trades, master
Yeah.
of none.
Mm.
So it's kind of like I dabble with a lot of them, but none of them ever really took me in. So I
Fair
don't
enough.
really like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you
So-
want to start doing it though? Or
Yeah,
no?
for sure. I'd
Or
like
have
to.
you started?
I mean, I try to learn Mandarin, but
That's tough.
it's tough.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
tough.
It's like one of the
but-
hardest languages to learn.
But that's not even what my family spoke. They spoke Cantonese.
Oh.
But,
Go
they
against
say-
the grain.
But they say Cantonese is way harder to
Really?
learn. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, you know.
Fuck it. Like that.
Wait, so does
The
your
easier
mom
one.
speak?
No,
Like-
but my grandma did. She never really taught anybody.
Do you have a
Uh,
Chinese name?
Do I
have a Chinese name?
No, but my
Oh,
grandma's
okay,
name
okay.
was Fong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Give yourself
You
one
didn't
right
do that,
now.
man. I
don't
Live on
know
the
that I
show.
could do that.
You can do that. Maybe if you guys combine like Asianness and like
yeah.
go ahead.
Asians unite, bro.
Go ahead, Chad. Give the first part.
Of it, for him, thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was your name, bro?
What does he look like?
What does it look like?
bright. I don't know what the translation to bright is. So something like sun.
I know how to say. I know dragon in Spanish is long. That's why in American Dragon, his name's Jake Long.
Oh, Jake
the
Dragon?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So
That's
your
cool.
name
Long.
Long.
I
And you
mean,
were born year of the tiger, right? I mean, year of the dragon, right?
bro. The goated year. No.
That's cool.
Whatever.
No, yeah. So
I'll call you Long.
Long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a
long.
minute.
Wait. Hold up.
Spitting.
He said it's big.
You got me, bro. That was like a 30-minute setup joke. You got my ass. I fell right into it.
Oh, yeah,
Bro,
but-
you should bring it up. I'd love to learn about your culture.
I mean, the way I put it is like I know a little bit, like, so like I'm sure like I know a little bit more about Mexican culture than like an average white guy would, but I wouldn't know as much as like you guys would, right?
Yeah.
Like I know like I feel like I'm a little above surface level, but not too much, you know, because
Mhm.
it's like, so it's kind of the same
At
with
least you
what
know,
China- yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you the pass right now, bro. I'll give you the pass right now.
Pass.
And go ahead. I don't know. What is it? Something only Mexicans can do. You can say Edgar.
It's valid.
Valid.
Just start having the cut.
The Edgar
That'll
cut?
be
Oh,
that'll be like your,
shit.
your intro. Just start cutting your hair like that.
Nah, bro, you're
It's the
valid. I feel
initiation.
like when we were kids, I didn't even like see you as like any other race. I was just honestly, but when I was a kid, I saw everybody as Mexican. So,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Even
me.
like even you. So
I low-key did think you were white though.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's why it's weird because like I don't ever know who to trust because everybody will tell me something different.
Well, because eventually when you had like your blonde hair,
Oh,
yeah,
I
that's
remember my grandma would even be like, "Oh, el güerito," like el güero.
Yeah.
She would say that. Yeah.
No, but I mean, they call even Mexicans with light skin.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
But then again, yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I know like some Mexicans who are like half white, or not half white, half Mexican, half Salvadorian, and they have like colored eyes, like blonde hair, and they call them like güero too. So,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because, like you said, colonization.
Yeah, yeah,
They
for
have
sure.
a lot of the white genes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like it's crazy because when I found out you were Asian, I was like, it's weird because like your eyes are like, wait, never mind. This might sound racist.
We'll cut it out. If you cut it out.
Stop
not
Asian
even,
hate, bro.
not even like that. Not even like that. But it's just like,
His features.
just like, bro, you know what, Brandon, you're my
His
homie, so I feel like I can say this. But
I'm
like,
His energy.
it's just like I feel like your eyes are like super like non. What is it? It's called monolid or something, right?
Is it?
What is it?
Monolid.
Yeah, I feel like your you have a little bit of the monolid at the edge, like right here
okay.
at the edge. You have it. If you look at him, look
like-
into his
them.
beautiful brown eyes,
Yeah.
and you'll see it.
Nice
No,
lashes.
yeah.
Right at the edge, you have it.
But I don't know. It confused me because I get Filipino sometimes.
Yeah.
I get Korean. I get
I can see Korean.
straight up just Asian.
White.
Something.
Mhm.
I get white.
Mexican.
I get Mexican.
But you are like all those things. No, you're.
What do you say you are?
I don't know anymore.
I'm American. He's having an existential crisis right now.
I'm just.
I'm on the show.
Well, because your
I'm just
mom,
me,
your
bro.
mom is what?
bro.
Chinese.
I'm
She's
just
half
Brandon.
Chinese.
I fucked
Brandon
that.
Long.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because my mom doesn't look at it at all. Like I don't
Yeah.
think, you know.
Oh.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's
You're remember we talked about when when you guys were younger, and Ryan, your little sister, she looked very like indigenous because she had the super long
She used to be
straight hair.
Yeah, yeah. That's
I don't-
do you
remember
remember?
that?
I remember.
I don't know what happened. Well, I don't know if this is common, but she used to be like really dark, like really
Really?
dark. Yeah. But now she's not.
She looked like a native woman when we were younger.
Mhm,
She had like,
Yeah.
bro, because it was also super long, like down
Oh,
to
yeah,
like her
'cause
knees.
yeah.
No,
She also used to have one braid. So
Yeah.
yeah.
no, I remember. That's when I was like, no, yeah, bro, like, come on, like,
Pocahontas, like-
you're a native man too.
Damn. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah.
But moving on to the topic, Chad,
Yeah.
since you're new to the show,
Okay.
we like talking about a lot of current events.
Cool.
With one of the most current events being what's going on in Ohio.
Only in Ohio.
Yeah, you know what's weird about the Ohio thing is that like it was like such a big meme. Like, have you heard of the Ohio memes?
Just in general, like how it's like.
Yeah,
the
people are
craziest,
always like this. Like it'd be like somebody post something on Twitter where it's like a weird like demon, and it's like it's probably in Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, but
Yeah.
What happened to Florida? They're like. I always thought
guess-
it was Florida.
I
Now
guess
it's
yeah.
Ohio.
it's
I guess we're
shifted.
getting old, bro. That's the new like,
Damn.
like the Florida jokes were like when we were young.
that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the old
Now
head.
it's
meme.
Ohio.
No, yeah, but it's funny because like the whole incident. We'll get into what the incident is for those of you listening, but the whole incident. It's weird how I've seen people say that like they haven't heard anything about it, which is like to me mind blowing considering like Ohio has been like such a popular term to use in
It
like
is.
just like memes and stuff. But why don't we go ahead and get into it? So, do you know what happened in Ohio?
Yeah, so there was a train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, which I guess maybe it confused me at first because I you said it too, where I heard Palestine, so I was like, oh, it's
It's one of the Middle
That's
East.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
I did- somewhere
I mean,
else.
yeah, well, I just thought it was really far away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
But basically it was carrying like something like 1 million tons of like a really toxic
That's
substance.
That's a lot, dude.
And they like
Why the fuck was it?
well they explained that the reason it was on a train is because trains transportation is considered like one of the safest forms of
Mm.
transportation.
I can see that.
So that's obviously why they-
Ironic.
That makes
like
sense.
I know,
Literally.
right? What's the? I'm trying to find what it's actually called. I think it's something vinyl chloride. I think that's
Really?
what it's
That sounds
called.
very toxic.
But I think so. The TikTok,
Yeah.
the
That
TikTok
sounds
I was
poisonous.
watching. I mean, you can correct me in the subtitles if I'm wrong about what the chemical's called.
Yeah.
But they explained that there was a mix-up. So a lot of people thought it was polyvinyl chloride, which is not. I wouldn't say is harmless, but it's like it's in everything. So people were like, it's it's
It's nothing.
whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's just vinyl chloride, which is super toxic. I mean, the guy that I was watching, he was explaining that like for people who work around it, like there's like regulations. So the most they recommend like you can be exposed to it is like 1 part per million per 8 hours. Like if you're working an 8-hour shift, the most that's like safe is 1 part per million. And so like 1 million tons is pouring out of this train.
God.
So they also explained also in this TikTok that like this substance burns or it starts to boil at 8 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not
Oh,
that,
shit, yeah.
So it's basically spewing boiling gas, right?
Holy crap.
And they also explained that like I think what they're doing is they did like a controlled like demolition of it.
Mhm.
So they burned it off like on purpose. And they were calling it like success, but what they're not saying, which is I guess what a lot of people have a problem with, is that the result of burning that turns into hydrogen chloride, and that bonds
shit,
with
yeah.
bonds with water and turns into hydrochloric acid. So there's that. I don't know if you guys saw the pictures of
Jesus
like
Christ.
from the
Above?
plane where it's like
Yeah,
a
I
giant
saw
black
that. Yeah,
spot.
have you seen it?
I didn't see it.
I'll show you. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. And
It's
I
like
think
an aerial view of the.
Yeah.
because when it
Oh,
happened,
shit.
there was like a giant like mushroom cloud.
What?
And they like showed like I guess a passenger plane flew by, and it looks like like death. Like there's a giant like no, yeah, I think the big part of it was like I don't know if this is I didn't like look into it, but I remember reading that people were saying that like livestock was dropping dead like 10 miles away.
Damn. Man.
That it because it's by the Ohio River.
Damn.
And the authorities are saying like nah, like we got it contained, but a lot of people are saying that's bullshit.
In actuality, yeah. It's just cover up.
Yeah, well, because I think the governor of like the state said that like
that's
he's drinking out of a
crazy.
water bottle, like he's not drinking the water that's there. So the officials admitted or something that they're not drinking the water that's there. But they also said like, oh, but it's safe, you know, like we're fine.
Yeah.
Obviously it's leaching into the ground. It's super toxic. People are calling this one of the worst ecological disasters in decades.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought this happened like a few days ago, happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So people were saying it's kind of a cover up with like the alien stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay,
I
that's a
didn't even think
trippy
about
theory.
that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So,
Dude, that's yo.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about the cover up. Well, what's weird is that like I know it happened February 5th. I saw that it
Yeah.
officially like when the train derailed, it was the 5th, and right now when we're recording this episode, it's the 16th. It's been 11 days. I for me it feels like just a natural progression when things happen. Like it just slowly like starts getting coverage, and I feel like at least that's the non-conspiracy me taking the conspiracy cap off. Like that's what I want to believe. Of like it's just taking a while to get
Yeah.
around because obviously now I've heard about it.
Yeah.
But like thinking about like the environmental disaster of it is like comparing it to the aliens, right? About how like all this like news is coming out about how like they're just UFOs.
yeah.
I don't think they're related. I don't think they're related.
Well, the reason another thing was coming up is that like the company that owns it, they offered like what's the word? Not reparations, but like compensation. Oh,
like hush
compensation.
money.
No, they just offered compensation, and it's like $1 billion company, and
Jesus.
they offered like 25 grand. Like that's it.
That's it?
Yeah. But people are saying the cover up's not necessarily like it's like it's a big scheme or plot. It's just that like I said, it's a super toxic substance.
Yeah,
And that obviously a lot of people are gonna be affected by it.
yeah,
So they're trying to
sure.
be like, like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
kind of like
'Cause-
Chernobyl, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people
Ooh.
actually refer to it as a mini Chernobyl. Like
Yeah.
like it's that toxic. So
Did you
I
ever
mean,
watch the Chernobyl HBO Max
haven't yet.
series? No, bro, because like it's like insane. Like
Shit was crazy.
the whole reason that it even happened was because of like literally just like the political climate of like the country. It's basically because of that.
Ukraine, right?
It happened. Yeah, I think it's what's now Ukraine or something. It used to be the Soviet Union, and I think
Yeah.
it's like now,
the territory or whatever.
or at least it leaked into Ukraine. I don't know if it was in Ukraine, but it was at least in the Soviet Union when it
Right,
first
right.
existed.
Damn.
And it's weird that people compare it to that because if it is that, then that means that like whatever happened with the derailment, it was because of like negligence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of scary because if they are trying to like putting my conspiracy cap back on, and if they're trying to cover it up, it's like it's really doing a disservice to the people who live around there and are basically gonna fucking like get super affected, either get cancer, die,
for
like
sure.
um,
Unhabitable, maybe.
yeah, and it's the government would rather people don't find out about it than actually like everybody like just should be evacuated.
Oh,
you know, we
yeah,
should
I
be-
think some to that point. I think I remember reading. I should have saved it, but that something similar happened with like a similar substance, and that place is still uninhabitable.
really,
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. I guess for me, like the reason I kind of think it's a little weird is because it's like this didn't show up on my radar till like a couple days ago,
True.
and I didn't know it happened like a few weeks ago. You know.
Yeah, I didn't know that until right now. I didn't know it happened the 5th.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I thought it just happened.
And with the aliens, I mean, it's not even aliens, UFOs. I think it's a little weird.
Okay. Then moving on to the topic of you guys have seen it, right?
So-
There's been
so
like,
Is
there's one.
there a video or what?
No.
Oh.
So what happened? The first one is that there was an unidentified flying object. Doesn't mean it's aliens. Just they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And President Biden he ordered that it be shot down because it was in United States airspace.
yeah.
And I guess it was what people found funny is because it got shot down over Cumtown.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a
it's-
fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. It got shot, it got shot down over. It's called Cumtown.
The world
So
is
people were
crazy.
like,
the world's
"Ha,"
a funny
you know?
place, bro.
But I think since then there's been like 5. There's been like 5.
Yeah. I
UFOs
think in
that-
total it's been
Recently.
like 8 unidentified flying
Yeah.
objects.
Like
And
a
I-
span of like few months.
Yeah. So people were saying like, "Oh my God, it's aliens." Because I think at first people were saying it was another balloon. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I
China balloon?
thought
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
But they said it was much smaller, like the size of about a car.
And the government themselves said that they didn't know, like that they didn't rule out the possibility of aliens.
What? Here's what's weird about that is
Interesting.
there's also a press conference where I forgot who it was, but he was like, "I really don't think that's."
It's
concern."
they asked Neil deGrasse Tyson
No.
about it.
There's
Really?
like an actual like the United States government.
Oh, really?
representative. Yeah, I sent it. Man, you never watched what I sent you. But
I don't open up TikTok that often.
But he said he doesn't believe it's that. And I think one of them also was confirmed to be a metallic balloon, like it was just like a regular balloon.
Really?
I don't believe it was that either. But I also don't believe it was aliens. That's why I'm like I feel like it's kind of convenient timing. You know?
But you did see that clip, right? They asked Neil deGrasse Tyson about it.
Yeah, he doesn't.
What did he say?
He said he doesn't think so. He's like
Oh, okay.
he's like, you're telling me aliens like flew billions of light years to come here and they're just gonna like set off
Slowly-
balloons or like
Yeah.
they're gonna let us see them and they'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, like what are they up to?
Yeah.
Like no, like
That
if,
makes sense.
if aliens traveled billions of light years, they'd come here for a different reason.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying.
They make their presence known too.
Yeah.
like-
No, I think what it
Yeah,
probably
okay.
is that like if you look at like the economic and political state of the world right now, a lot of the countries right now have high tensions with each other. You know, like obviously
Sure.
Ukraine and Russia are fighting each other, and then there's a lot of like allies within that relationship. So I think a lot of countries have like this fear of like, you know, what it's always been, World War III gonna happen. And so I think like whether it's like China or like a country that people kind of like don't really acknowledge, people are testing out new like aerospace technology.
Yes.
And so obviously the government here in the United States is like one of the strongest countries in the world. So obviously they're sending, all these other countries are sending their probes out to like just see how it works here, see if it can maybe evade like our radars or evade like our technology. And so the US is like, well, we've never seen this before, so it's obviously a UFO, unidentified flying objects. Unidentified flying objects doesn't mean alien, right?
Right. Exactly.
But they're like, whatever it is, it's in our fucking like country, and we got to shoot that shit down.
Exactly.
So I think that's what it is.
I think it's-
I
I
really
think-
doubt it's aliens.
I think it's. First of all, I don't think it's aliens whatsoever. Second of all, I think it's a lot of things. I think it's probably countries testing us. I think it's two. I think it's a distraction to a degree, because I feel like if it's just a balloon, why'd you make all that big fuss about it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you didn't need to tell us. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's kind of to show other countries to say like, hey, we're gonna start shooting shit down now.
Like no
if
matter
you-
what
if
it is.
whatever it
yeah.
is, we're
If you
gonna
get too
shoot shit down.
close.
So like, you know what I mean? There's also the Ohio thing. There's the thing that Biden's in like hot water for, was he had the files or like classified documents in his car.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, for what?
I don't even know, but it's like it was he had classified documents and they found him in like his car, like just unlocked, and he was like he was in some hot water for that because people were pretty mad. So I feel like it's a lot of things stacked in one, where it's kind of like, because I don't know, I feel like whenever something like controversial happens, they do like UFOs, you know?
Yeah. Like a
You know?
distraction type.
Yeah, I think it's a
I
distraction.
don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think the government's above doing that.
Well,
they've
it's
done a
because
lot of
I
things
think
like
when
that.
people think like, oh, it's a distraction, they think it's like super like deep and complex. Where I just think it's more like, let's just get this in the circulation of the media.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
so this will overpower. the
Yeah,
other
because
stuff.
like people hear UFOs and we're like, oh my god, like Project Bluebeam, all this bullshit.
Oh yeah, I was
You know
gonna
what
say.
mean?
Okay,
Like,
I was gonna bring this up. Well, a lot of people think on the opposing side, right? People think that the UFOs are Project Bluebeam. Have you guys? I know you've heard of that, and I know you.
I
heard
recently
that too.
heard about
Chad,
that.
have you ever
what's
heard of
that?
that?
it said
So-
the government is gonna stage a UFO invasion because that's the only thing that's gonna unite everybody. So it would be a way of getting everybody under a one world government.
or the New World Order. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Damn,
and people,
crazy.
it's a very popular theory. A lot of people really believe that this is gonna like
so
happen.
people say if there ever was an alien invasion, to not believe it's aliens because it's like it's just the government trying to start the New World Order.
Yeah,
That's
but kind of
crazy.
trippy to think about, right?
Yeah, hell yeah, it is.
When I learned about it, I was like, "This is the fucking like trippiest."
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, well, because it's
It
kind of
just blew my
scary.
mind,
Because
bro.
even though like, I don't think it's gonna happen. First of all, but if it did happen, right? Just the existential dread that I'd feel of like turning on the news
And there's
and
alien
seeing
shit.
like, oh, like you aliens have invaded the earth, like and there's like a giant like ship over like downtown LA,
Yeah.
and like I go out my house and I can see it. Like the existential dread I would feel would literally make me want to like fucking kill myself. Like
Absolutely, yeah.
like just keep it real, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like there are so many questions to ponder if aliens are real, right?
Absolutely.
Like if an alien just showed itself, it's like, damn, okay, so religion's probably not real. Like a lot of our religions aren't real. Damn, we're not like as significant and unique as we think. Like
We're not alone.
yeah, and there's that fear of like what comes next. Like
We're not the
that-
top dog anymore. So there's
Yeah.
No alpha.
Yeah,
We're not alpha.
that fear of like, okay, are they nice? Are they peaceful? What do they want? And then like I guess the fourth thing would be like, is this Project Bluebeam?
Yeah.
But and I'm like, if it is, then like what? Like so I don't know what to believe. Like either
Well-
way, like the world is gonna change. Like
Well, I
Yeah.
don't. The reason I think Project Bluebeam is a little ridiculous is like, well, first look at COVID. Did we all unite? You know,
Yeah.
like did we all join? Did
point.
we
we all
all?
went through. We
did
all
we-
fought for
Yeah,
toilet
right.
paper.
Did we all join
Yeah,
forces?
literally.
You know, like I feel like if there ever was the aliens that show up, it'd probably be like a rival where it would be chaos. Nobody would like cooperate whatsoever.
They would
Some countries would be like, shoot it down. Some countries would be like, don't do that. I don't.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's super romanticized that we'd all team up and like that's not happening.
it'd be
I
like
feel like it'd
Independence
just be
Day.
panic.
Yeah,
Panic
it'd
for
just be
sure.
panic. Nobody would.
Yeah.
That's why
Everyone would fend for
whenever
themselves and
no,
be
yeah,
like, yeah.
and the government's like not dumb. Like they're in charge for like you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I
They're
get you.
empowered because they know some things. Like they you know.
Yeah, of
So
So I
course.
feel like if whenever they say like this UFO shit, it's obviously not aliens because if it was, they know like.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look at you don't even have to be that smart. Like you just look at what happened when they told us about the masks and shit, and everybody lost their fucking minds. Do you think if they tell us that there's aliens, everybody's just gonna be like, "Whoa,
Well,
we gotta team up, guys"? No,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna
It's our
fucking
time.
do that.
It's time.
it's time, bro.
You know?
I think especially right now with like whatever the air like stuff is going on, I think it's just like just through the pandemic, a lot of shit just happened, you know. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of the countries just have trust issues now,
Yeah,
of,
that's
like
for
trusting each other
sure.
and like, because I mean, if such a big disease that affected us really really bad came from a different country. And it's like, you know, there's even those theories going on about how it happened and all
Yeah.
that stuff, or like the purpose of it, right? I think now, especially, everyone has like just issues of like something could happen, or like we could be under attack at any point, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Everyone's
what's
on
I think
the
that's what's
defense
really
right
going
now.
on. Yeah.
They have their guards up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think everyone just has it right now because like because we've seen it, anything can happen, right?
Literally.
So I think even like the government and just different governments are just like anything
Yeah.
can happen. We need to be prepared for it.
I feel like all these things are definitely like super like of the time. Because I think I remember watching this video about the Loch Ness monster, and it goes on to explain why the guy doesn't think. Because you know how a lot of people say the Loch Ness monster is just a dinosaur that survived or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The guy points out that like the Loch Ness monster showed up right after this movie. I think it was King Kong, where they show the dinosaurs that everybody talks about. And it's like beat for beat, like, you know, the same thing. And he goes on to explain that like the dinosaurs people think it doesn't even look like that. Like they're just based off the movies. And I think with the Roswell crash too, I think the day the Earth stood still, or one movie came out that like had recently put that into people's brains. And he goes on to explain that people were in a state of like hysteria because like you know, shit's always
Yeah.
going down. So I think because right now it's like a, you know,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
this is how
Well,
the
that's
world
why a lot
is.
of like shows and like movies and even video games are about like the world kind of ending, or like
yeah.
people turning into zombies because of a disease and all
Last
that
of Us.
stuff.
Yeah, The Last of Us. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you know how I mentioned to you guys about the Fabuloso thing?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know about what's going on with Fabuloso, but I guess it got recalled because there was a preservative that wasn't inserted into the Fabuloso, so now it's just bacteria. So it's basically just a whole bottle of bacteria in it.
Oh shit.
And
What
that's
the fuck?
why
That sucks because
and
it works
that's why-
though. It's like it cleans.
What
though.
is it?
No,
It's pretty good.
You're like,
yeah,
it's my
it
favorite
kills
brand.
bacteria, but
Yeah.
it has
It's kinda
bacteria
ironic.
in it,
Like,
yeah.
Is it because soap is fat? Because soap's made out of fat.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is it because of that?
Maybe.
And they just
I was
send
trying
it
to
out.
read
That
on
makes
it,
sense.
but I couldn't get like the terms. But it's just more like a preservative, just like some type of preservative just wasn't inserted, and so it doesn't. It's not properly killing bacteria, so it's kind of turning into bacteria or
Yeah.
whatever.
Damn.
And so I was just reading on it, and then people were comparing it to like the Last of Us thing. I mean, I haven't fully seen it. I don't really understand it. I don't get the reference, but I was just like, but I get what the show is about.
Yeah. Zombies. and stuff.
It's about zombies, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, like people are in such in like that hysteria of like some shit is gonna happen because I mean we've seen it through the pandemic, right? So I'm just like I think people are just like, I mean we know where we are and what state we're in of like
Yeah.
we're scared of something taking over us and like some shit going down, right?
Literally.
And like an apocalypse
Yep.
and all that stuff. So I think we're all kind of in that state.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
definitely. Like people lose their minds over like pronouns, bro. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, but it's totally
saying that,
aliens.
yeah.
That's gonna be an easy pill to swallow. You know what I mean? Like, the
That's
fuck?
that's a
You
good
know what I
point.
mean? Like,
That's a really good
point,
point.
man.
Yeah.
True.
That's easy pill to swallow.
Like that. This will trick humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
This will get 'em.
It's. But you know what I do think is gonna happen one day. I do think that the pandemic, the COVID one, was like
The peak.
light. No.
Oh.
I think that there's gonna be a way worse one. Like this is waiting
Really?
to happen. 100%. The like.
You don't
Yeah.
think we've done enough to kind of
No,
learn?
Not at all. Not at all.
What do you think it would be? Though?
I don't know what it would be, but I would bet money that there's gonna be like an actual super bug that's gonna like go around.
Biological warfare.
No, I don't mean like still released, but I just think with the like the way we abuse antibiotics,
Yeah.
the way we farm, just everything, just how many people there are, how close contact everybody is, 100%.
Do you
It's like
think-
waiting to happen.
Do you think, well, especially what is it, the microplastics that we have in our blood?
Do you think that has any?
Well, I'm just saying, like, do you think eventually, like us, because we're like living through that, right? That like we'll eventually have kids, and like those kids will have like defects and stuff like
Well,
that.
I think that's already like
Whoa.
happening because I think what was really concerning again that nobody talks about was I think they recently like a couple months ago found a baby and there was already microplastics in its blood. So it's like kind of unavoidable now. Like it's
It's
already
just a part of us.
yeah, it's
already.
just kind of happening.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
it's what brings down. We talked about it before, but it's what brings down for men. It brings down like our testosterone.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, really?
well, because
Yeah.
it's plastic. It's
So
not supposed to
does-
be in
Fair
your body.
enough, yeah.
So do you think eventually we just can't have like babies anymore?
No, oh, like
Or
in
like
what's
men?
that movie that we watched? The Children of Men.
Oh yeah.
Where people become infertile.
I thought you were gonna say
Uh,
Zoolander.
Yeah.
I don't remember that as Zoolander. Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant, like infertile.
I think
Maybe.
I think there's always gonna be something that like fucks with people. Like if you look at all of history, there's always been something that's going on. But I don't ever think there's gonna be something that completely wipes people out. Like
People are
that's
pretty
Yeah,
resilient.
very resilient.
well, not only that, there's like 8 billion of us now. People
Really?
are pretty
I
yeah.
thought it was 9 now.
No, we
Oh,
just
it's
we
eight.
just we just
Oh,
went
it's
from
eight.
7 to 8.
Oh, okay, yeah. That sounds about right.
There's 8 billion of us. There was plagues before, didn't wipe us out. There's
Yeah.
I remember somebody brought up that there was once this volcanic eruption that almost put people out. Like
Really?
that it was equivalent to like a few nuclear bombs or something like that. It was a
Damn.
big eruption.
Jesus.
And it sent us back like a bunch. But we survived that, you know. So I think sure. I personally think there is gonna be something that wipes a bunch of people out. I don't know tomorrow.
Not to the
or-
extent. Yeah.
but I don't ever think we're ever gonna go back to zero.
Yeah, I
Um,
doubt it.
That's just
That's
my
it.
opinion.
Yeah.
I could. Be
I
wrong.
think so. I've seen videos
Yeah.
of people talk about it, like the
People
theory.
save like you
Uh,
know sperm and shit like that, like
Oh,
to what's it called? Not cryogenic, but like they save like a certain amount.
Yeah,
of
they
stuff.
like freeze the
freeze
eggs
it.
and
Yeah,
shit,
like
right?
Yeah.
who's to say they
Yeah.
can't do that now? You know, or still. Like,
Well, you know what's funny? Did you guys ever hear that Oreo has like a vault in like Antarctica?
Yeah, with all the seeds and stuff.
for,
Yeah.
for like a lot,
their
so they can
ingredients?
keep like fresh.
No,
like,
it's
oh.
like if in case something ever went down, they have this giant like vault of seeds and like all kinds of stuff in case like shit ever
Really?
went
yeah, in
down.
case like a virus ever like wiped all,
Yeah,
all the
that's
or like
crazy.
all the plants got sick.
Oreo?
yeah, the company Oreo. Yeah.
Like the cookie.
That's so
company?
random.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
But I brought it up just to say, like, bro, think about it. Exactly, like a cookie company is doing that.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
way that like the government hasn't
Yeah.
like done that.
Thought of
like,
it. Yeah.
have like frozen eggs and frozen sperm.
I
And
feel
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're just thinking about
I
our
feel-
downfall.
I feel like
Yeah.
if something ever were to wipe out people, it'd be something we didn't see coming, like at all.
Completely like
'cause-
blindsided us.
Yeah, like I don't think there'd be something that, because like with nuclear bombs, I feel like it could wipe out a lot of us, but I don't, not all of us, because there's people who are preppers and the elites
Yeah,
know
true.
about that shit.
True.
Yeah.
Climate change is real, but
True.
Yeah. And you're not saying that it's like obviously
I'm not saying
all
like,
8 billion people are gonna survive.
but
It's
I'm
gonna be
saying like to go to actual zero, like people are extinct. I think at the moment it seems pretty like
illogical.
unlikely,
Yeah.
unless it's like a giant like asteroid, like something
Yeah.
like actually world
Like the size of the moon. And
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Damn,
But
imagine. Fuck.
yeah.
Didn't they say one passed by recently?
Well, that's what they're trying to figure out, because I think NASA's pretty good about like tracking them.
Mm-hmm.
Because
True.
Neil deGrasse Tyson brought up how like big asteroids are scary, but they're good because you can see them. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
But
More
there's
prepared.
like a problem with, I think asteroids can hide behind the sun,
Yeah.
so like we can't see them.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
in the direction of the sun. If
Get
it's coming
blinds.
from that side,
Yeah.
it's like we can't see it
can't
because
see it.
obviously
Yeah.
the glare.
Mm.
Which is kind of funny because that's
Yeah.
so like you think that's so simple.
Yeah.
Like we just can't see it because the sun's in the way.
The sun's in the
it's in our eyes, you know.
No, but that's why I think they did it, but they're waiting to calculate it. Tesla or SpaceX did it, where they launched it at like this. It's inconsequential. It's a tiny.
Oh
little,
yeah.
They launched like a probe at a asteroid to see if it had any effects. But it was successful in the sense that like
It shifted.
No, well, we don't know yet.
Okay.
They have. I think
It
it,
hasn't
takes a
passed
while.
Earth yet.
It takes a while to see, but the part where we can do something, we did it. So they're
Like Armageddon, like the movie. Where, like,
well, basically they basically
You know what
they
I
didn't
mean?
even they didn't even know.
Kinda,
if-
yeah.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Basically, they it's hard to like obviously track down an asteroid
Yeah,
and crash
yeah,
into it.
for sure.
But that part,
Uh-huh.
like the part where we did our job, we did it. It's just we're waiting to see if it worked.
Oh,
you know what I
okay.
mean?
You're just waiting for the
Yeah.
results.
And the reason that we're doing that
That's
is
good.
because I think Elon Musk and a bunch of people at NASA
Uh-huh.
think it's like a smart investment to make,
Mhm.
just in case like there ever was an asteroid, we could like, all right, we got
Be
protocols.
prepared.
We have protocols for
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
you know, so it's not on the fly. Because Neil deGrasse Tyson also talked about how like it would actually take a long time if one caught us with our pants down, like because he was like it'd take like maybe 10, 15 years to whip something up.
Crazy.
Damn.
So like.
Crazy.
I don't think it's like a situation you want to get caught like, oh fuck, like
For
Yeah.
sure.
you know what I mean, last minute.
I mean, I
It's
think
not
that's
like Armageddon.
I heard
That's what I'm saying.
they were building the space laser, right? Or like there's a theory of how we could build a space laser, so that way if an asteroid was ever coming, we just shoot that shit instead of having to send like a rocket and it just be like
Damn.
instantly like vaporized, basically.
That's pretty
And
cool.
it'd like chip out. I think it's like we don't even need to chip off that much. We just need to chip off like
Just
well,
like a
'cause
little
the
bit. Smallest.
Well, because they
amount,
talk about
yeah.
you don't really need like that
A
much.
big- yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
in space, a little becomes a lot.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
As long as you throw it off its course, it
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
be real.
But did you hear about when SpaceX crashed their spaceship into the asteroid that it created like a 6,000 mile like
See, that's what I
debris-
was thinking of. Yeah,
debris
that's-
line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, obviously that's not
Hopefully
like
that doesn't come back to bite us.
yeah, right. Like I think of Wally, you know, and Wally
Yeah.
like
Oh,
kind of
Wall-E,
Earth.
yeah.
Earth has like an entire. It's basically has like a shield of garbage in the,
Yes.
in the
Oh.
around us. I feel like I could totally see that happening.
Well, what's interesting is like about the asteroid thing is they talk about this because if you look at like the Earth's timeline, when generally there is like a big asteroid, there's like a pattern. It's like I don't know off the top of my head, but like every just a random number, like 300 million years,
Uh-huh.
there seems to be like an asteroid. Like it seems to be like on a time scale,
Wow.
which is interesting, right? Because it's like it almost seems calculated. But I think because they all come from the asteroid belt, the big ones. So I think something happens that it sends one out around that timeline, which is pretty interesting.
That's crazy.
Scary, but interesting.
For sure, scary, man.
Because I think if you look at the moon, you know how it has all kinds of craters. The moon protects us. Like it's like a dub.
Like a shield.
Well, because
I heard that about Jupiter too, right?
yeah,
The
Jupiter.
rings? Oh no, that's
no,
Saturn.
no, no.
Because it's so
Saturn.
big that sometimes an asteroid will pass by and it'll get sucked in.
I think this is an actual one in the 1980s. In an asteroid, I think like the fucking like size of like Texas hit a
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
Jupiter, and it would have been like on the trajectory to hit the Earth, and we never would have seen it coming. The only reason we saw it was because of the huge explosion that happened in fucking Jupiter.
Yeah.
And we were like, the explosion was big enough, like
for us to see.
yeah. So it was like the size
Size
of
of
it was like almost the
Texas?
size of fucking like the Earth. That's how big
Damn,
the
that's
explosion was.
huge.
Yeah.
That's
so
scary, man.
and but it's not it's a regular thing. Jupiter always protects us from big ass like
Shout
asteroids.
out. Shout out.
No,
Yeah,
but-
shout out to Jupiter.
Yeah.
But like relating that back to like aliens, right? It's like that Jupiter, the moon, all those things are like subtle stuff that I think people kind of like forget. That like, yeah, Earth is pretty weird, but there's a lot of circumstances around Earth that really help it with like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like stuff like Jupiter, like that
Yeah.
asteroids don't constantly pelt it, you know? So that's why I'm not
Yeah.
too keen on the idea that there's aliens
Aliens.
everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's
Cause
Yeah.
cause it kind of also like makes me think about like how grateful. Well, one thing to be grateful about being alive, but it's also like to be just fucking astonished by the fucking like the probability of Earth just existing like with life. Because it's like, do you see how many things have to go right for like life
The
not to
life,
fucking get
water.
annihilated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
That's why like bro, appreciate every day.
Literally.
I mean, relating it back to our
blessing.
small human lives.
It's also
right?
Yeah.
like I don't know. The science. I don't ever hear really scientists talking about it because I think it's more of like an existential, like philosophical thought. But I think it's pretty interesting that the last people who used not people, but the last like top dog was the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they got taken out by asteroids, and now something evolved smart enough to maybe do something about that. I think that's like kind of
That's a trip.
hauntingly poetic. Because
Yeah.
it's like it's weird that like nature whipped something up to like counter that, you know.
Yeah, right. Like
So
life
I'm-
evolved to become even
That's
better,
true.
So,
even
like-
more advanced.
So I'm interested to see like if that Tesla thing works, because it's like whoa, then like we did it, you know.
Yeah,
we
we did
We
it.
surpassed the dinos.
That's why I think whatever wipes us out, we're not gonna see coming, because it'll probably be something other than that. And then maybe life will whip something up to counter that.
It's gonna be AI, bro. It's
I was just gonna say
AI.
that, bro. I was just
You
gonna
think so?
say that, bro. Technology's
I-
scary, man.
I just think like
Technology's
like
so scary.
we have such like I don't know why, but we trust technology so much.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know about saying I don't know why. I mean, it's obvious why.
That's
like
the real.
technology has made our life so much better. I mean,
Yeah.
just look around this room. Like,
Yeah.
look at like I'm wearing tech on my fucking
we all
like
have
wrist.
phones and
you
stuff,
know?
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like we trust. The trust is so easy that sometimes we don't even think about it. You know,
Exactly,
like
man.
we have such a like strong bond with tech. So if like tech ever became self-aware and was like, yo, like these humans are like kind of fucked up towards us, and like
Yeah.
they hurt the environment, and like
They're mean
they-
to each other.
yeah,
like,
and
they kill each
they
other.
need food and resources to stay alive, and all we need is really like sun like energy or whatever, or we need like electricity. Like,
Yeah.
what do we have these guys around for?
Literally.
Well, I don't know. It's interesting because there's like this. They talk about. I don't know what year, but back before there was cars, one that they had like this. Oh, what the world would look like in 100 years, and one of them was a steam powered like mechanical horse. Like it was
Wow.
basically like it was a horse with a robot. They thought that was gonna
Yeah.
be another
pretty-
problem. They thought would be that there would be so many horses that that the horse shit would be like a genuine problem. That there would that it would be like a
Too toxic and
no, that it would be like a serious matter of national like
crisis.
Like
crisis.
we'd have like systems to like get rid of the horse shit.
No,
and
that
everything, right?
that people would be basically drowning in horse shit.
Yeah.
Hell.
But I only bring that up because it's like I don't know. I
we
feel
think
like,
we know, but we
Yeah.
really
yeah,
don't.
I feel
really
like
don't.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause
because
AI
even
is
with
scary,
like
man.
AI, I feel like for a good part, a lot of us were kind of like, no, like people won't trust it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people are just like,
You don't give a fuck.
they don't care. They don't care.
I mean,
I mostly saw it with like when they were doing like the AI like pictures, because everyone was like super into
That's
it. Like
crazy,
everyone was
man.
really
Did you
into
do it?
you
Did you
know?
get? Did
Fake
any
and
of you
stuff?
guys try it out?
do
I didn't
No,
do it.
I didn't do it
You
either.
know how I
It's,
feel about
it
that.
honestly scares me, bro.
Yeah, me too.
It honestly
Lucky.
scares me, bro. Like,
Yeah.
people, a war could just start like that. Like, you know, just have Biden say something crazy, and the next, you know, like,
Well, I
You know?
don't think it's necessarily. I really personally really don't think AI itself will ever turn on us. Because I think that's too human of a like projection. But I do think
Same thing with
that.
aliens.
But I do think that people will abuse AI. Like I kind of agree that AI is the next atom bomb.
Yeah,
Like I
for
just feel
sure,
like
bro.
there's too much potential if it gets in the wrong hands.
I mean,
For sure.
You know, and it's weird because I feel like a lot of the shit that shouldn't be in the wrong hands already is. Like I don't think anybody should have nuclear weapons, but everybody has them.
Yeah.
Uh,
But damn, but that's so true. Yeah, I mean, the fear of AI is totally because we're projecting like, well, because that's what humans
that's
would
what
do.
we would do.
Yeah, that's what we would do. So why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Right?
And I
Yeah.
mean, it's been a thing for a while. I mean, like I always think of like Terminator, right?
Terminator, yeah.
Of like
yeah.
how it turned on, like the robots turning on like humans and all that.
Yeah.
So again, it's like a thing of like it's projecting what's happening in the time, and it's been a thought. In a
Why
while,
do you
know?
think? Why do you think people have this like innate desire to want to be punished, or like they have this like
Like fear?
romanticization of like we're gonna pay for our sins and we're gonna get done to us what we did.
Like you see it in like religion.
You see it in
and,
religion
like,
and media, fiction,
yeah.
where people always talk. Well, because they
They always think the worst, right?
well, not even that. I just mean like if you look at religion, a lot of them are centered around like people will be punished for the bad things that they do. You look at any religion, it's
Yeah.
like that.
For sure.
If you look at media with stuff that isn't even religious, it's kind of like the world's gonna end and it's gonna become because of human error, and we're gonna finally pay for our hubris or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Why do you think that happens so much? Like, why do you think people feel so like we need to be punished?
I feel like it's probably because humans are very self-aware, and like a lot of that makes us feel like we have a lot of power. Like, oh, you know, we could basically do anything. I mean,
Literally, we
from
could do
basically
anything.
like the modern age of humans, we've only advanced. Like we've only gotten better in tech,
Yeah.
like in social issues. Like we've only kind of like progressed, and because of that, we feel as though like I think like that power eventually is gonna come to a halt, where like we're gonna
plateau.
yeah, and we're gonna meet our maker, and eventually we're gonna see that we're not like these like maybe like perfect humans, and like karma or
Yeah.
something. Like there's no way that we can be the most powerful, you know. And I think that's where religion comes from, because it's like, no, there's something above us that's like gave us life.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that was just like our like luck, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way we're that important.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
it's like it's paradoxical in a way
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like we simultaneously think we're the strongest people, but we can't accept that we are. So we feel as though like, no, one day we're gonna see that we're really not.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Um,
it's just like in our human of like we know morals and all that, and we
For
know
sure.
what's good and what's bad. And I think sometimes
will.
we like how you said, like a lot of like our power, and like we see that and we're like, maybe we are doing something wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like and it's again like in morals, it's kind of like we know what's right and wrong, but we actually don't fully know what is right and what is wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Because we built those. We built
Yeah.
those.
That's
morals,
true.
You know?
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I don't know. I like going kind of relating it back to the aliens, right? I feel like I genuinely think there are aliens out there. I don't know how advanced or how smart or how we're at whatever like whatever
Whatever
on the-
stage of life they're at.
Yeah, but I do think they're out there. Like I know I talk shit. I don't think they come here, but I do think they're out there. And if you look at how big the universe is, I feel like some of them probably have technology. Maybe one of them has technology.
At least.
And
Yeah, right?
Come on.
At
just
least.
one of them, you know. And they probably have AI. Like they probably have AI. Didn't seem to turn on them, because otherwise we'd look up and there'd be a bunch of like Ultrons,
True.
like, you know, everywhere. So I don't know. I think
Parallel
Well,
universes type.
What's weird is this reminds me of the like simulation theory.
Yeah.
And how, have you ever heard that people say that like life itself is kind of like a paradox, that eventually creates like a simulation, which then becomes so realistic where they're like, hey, like we're advanced enough, let's make a simulation.
Yeah.
And it's just like an inception of simulations. So that's why that's the theory as to why people say like you don't see aliens, is because like all of this isn't real. And that like it's just because this is the only thing that's rendered. That's why there's no thing out there, because it's like it's only life here, like an advanced life. But it's an advanced life basically made the life that we're living in now, and that it's just like a cycle that eventually we're gonna become advanced enough with AI and tech
and then
to make our own simulation, and then those guys in there are gonna think they're real,
yeah.
and then they're gonna advance and be like, you know what?
It's
Why
like
don't we
that
make a
Rick and Morty episode.
simulation?
Well, you
Yeah.
know what's interesting about that is we brought it up before on the show, was that like I didn't make this up, but I read it somewhere that I feel like that simulation is kind of like religion, where like, oh, you believe a being of higher intelligence and power made you.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
cool.
I was about to say,
That's a good.
So to me, the simulation
oh,
thing
wow.
kind of reminds me of like of a little bit of religion, where it's like we don't understand what's going on, so it's easier to write off as like
somebody made us.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's like a safe
Made
answer.
us.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Simulation theory is very close to like religion.
Yeah.
It's very like
Similar.
yeah. But moving on, I have my hot take of the week.
What's your hot take of the week?
And week as in WEAK.
Just in case it's a weak take.
Yeah, just in case it's a weak take, exactly. So yeah, I was on TikTok and I forgot what was I seeing? I was seeing like something about like I think it might have been the Jim Carrey Epstein like flight logs thing.
Oh yeah.
And somebody in the comments said that okay, ready for this hot take? Comedians are psychological messes that they use comedy to cope with their life experience.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true? Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Like Robin Williams. Like,
Oh yeah, that's a
you
good
know what I
point.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that came to my mind. Like,
Yeah.
not saying that he was like psychologically,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
But obviously he was
messed
going
up.
through some shit.
Exactly
Yeah.
to the
He was
point where he could
mentally
kill
ill.
himself. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's like a definitely coping mechanism.
I mean, because if you look at Jim Carrey, like he's like a super like
Philosophical.
reflectionist.
is, man.
Like he's always kind of like looking in and like
Yeah.
trying to like
expose the
understand himself.
Illuminati. And, like, all that
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, have you
He's
seen
talking-
that? Bro,
Yeah.
you know, in the old show we talked about
we
that.
talked about
Oh,
that. He
really?
got taken down.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
The video
It got
is
taken
like nowhere
down.
to be found.
I think that was like
Yeah.
one of was that our
Why?
only video to ever get taken down?
Yeah.
Because of what, the Jim Carrey stuff?
Well, I didn't say why, but we were like, ooh,
It just got
spooky,
taken down.
You know,
It,
how
like
cool-
for
how
whatever
cool
we
is
said.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh damn! That's real.
Yeah. But so I'm like, I guess I can kind of see that. Yeah. But do you think that relates even to like non-comics? Do you think a lot of people who are like the funny guy in the room are usually the ones that are the saddest?
Usually,
man.
I think so. I think
Agreed.
it's a very like kind of well-known thing of like usually like the people with like the biggest smiles are usually like the
Or the
saddest
loudest in the
people.
room, or like
Yeah.
usually the ones
The
who are-
saddest people smile the brightest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? That old meme? Where it's like Shrek.
No, I haven't seen that.
Shrek. I love Shrek.
Well,
man.
because well, you like mentioning Robin Williams, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, didn't he say that the reason he wanted to bring laughter to people is because he was really sad?
Oh.
Like, I think that's what he said, or
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if that's what
something along
people
those
were
lines. Yeah,
theorizing,
yeah.
but I think that's like something that like he had said, and I think at least for comedians, I think a lot of it is that a lot of them have like their own internal issues.
For sure.
Even the way they grew up, I think now it's kind of like they see it more as like they want to joke about it and like laugh about it in their heads. Because I mean, if you think of like their stories are sometimes crazy, but I think they try to find like a very comedic part of it.
Yeah.
It's like when they say like at the time some shit probably went down in your life, and you were probably really hurt, but now when you rethink about it, you kind of laugh about it.
Mhm.
I think
That's
that's
a good
kind of
point.
like what they do.
So do you guys do that when you guys?
I was gonna
are-
say, yeah. Do you guys think, and do you guys also think that's healthy to laugh about it?
I mean, I don't know.
To some extent, I think. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Probably.
it's always good
Yeah.
to laugh not at yourself. I mean, at yourself, but like not to take everything so serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, true.
don't
true.
take everything with a grain of salt. Don't. It's also good to not hold it in either.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
some people, that's how they
No, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good.
they
That's
express
how they
their
let it
feelings.
out.
That's
Yeah,
a, that's a good
literally how they-
point. That's a good point because
Yeah.
I feel like some people don't want to be like, oh, like you know, so they
Yeah.
kind of like getting it out as a joke is easier.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I
Mhm.
don't feel sorry for me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we'll
Yeah,
laugh
don't feel
about
sorry.
it. You know
for
what I
me.
mean?
Like,
So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
If I
'cause
can laugh
there's-
about it, you can laugh about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I think there's some people who also do like sometimes when you try to have like serious conversations with them, they'll tend to like laugh or giggle a little
like
bit.
brush
Yeah.
it off.
Yeah.
True.
And to some degree, it could be bad because they're kind of ignoring like
Yeah.
the serious question or
Mhm.
like the serious conversation of whatever it is. And then there's the other part of like, yeah, like they kind of just want to laugh about it, you know, like
Deflection. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
They just trying to deflect the.
like the conversation or
conversation,
whatever it
yeah.
is.
No, yeah.
And there's
trying to
other
make
people
light
who
of it.
just are like, no, like laugh with me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
No,
Genuinely
Yeah.
laugh.
That's a good point you guys are making. I can see it go both ways because like yeah, some people can like not want to deal with that shit
Yeah.
and they'll just like you know
they'll
what I
laugh
mean?
about it.
They'll laugh about it and they won't cry at all. You know,
Yeah.
like you know, but then there's like I remember Joy Diaz. You know, what Joy Diaz is right.
Yeah.
He made it. He didn't even make a joke. He just talked about like when people he's close to, like when they have like relatives who pass, he'll always try to like make them laugh And he says that it always works because like they're always like, damn, I didn't want to be sad. Like everybody's just making me sad. So it'd be like, oh, my friend's brother died. And so when I called him, I was like, so what do we get in the will? Like, so I think,
Imagine doing that though, and they're like,
it's not funny, bro.
You just passed.
You probably got to be a comedian to do that.
Yeah, you got it. Better be a good fucking joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Dave Chappelle now, but I like his. There's one thing I like about him, I like his take on why he does comedy. Was he feels like comedy makes people feel like everything's gonna be okay, and he likes that sentiment. And I also like that sentiment.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I think
They always say laughter's the best medicine.
Yeah,
I think so,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I thought this hot take was gonna be when because I didn't read it until now. I thought you were gonna do that thing that's kind of going around now, is that people reacting to. I don't know who said it, but people say comedians are the modern day philosophers. And
Really?
it's going all over TikTok because people are either agreeing or very
heavily
much disagreeing.
disagreeing.
That's what I thought it was gonna be. But yeah.
No, I think so. Well, just talking about that.
Yeah.
I think they are. Not, but like all philosophers, not every philosopher is fucking like Socrates. Socrates.
Yeah.
Socrates. I was gonna say like Socratic seminar. Yeah. It's Socrates.
Yeah.
But I think that's true, especially nowadays. Like comedy is very hit or miss.
Yeah,
For sure.
But
Do you think it's dying though?
you know who
Comedy?
said it?
I think
just
it's
remembered.
changed.
It's the Adam ruins everything guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was saying that he doesn't agree, that he feels like he's like there's actual philosophers who like are working, who do stuff. I feel like
Yeah, but I think because back in the day, philosophers had a huge impact. I mean, people would fucking like search for them all through town to hear what they had to say. And I think in that sentiment, nowadays people
I
don't
get what
search
you mean.
for philosophers.
They search for what a comedian.
what a comedian has to say. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like you see it even with Dave Chappelle. A lot of people hold his opinion to high regard.
Yeah,
and
true.
like whenever any like thing is going on in the black community, people are like, "Oh, I can't wait to see his next stand up."
Do you think that's good though?
To seek out.
To not seek out, but to like value a comedian's like take over like.
I think it depends, because I think people sometimes can be very like overwhelmed with ideas,
Yeah.
and people come from all different backgrounds of like education and like deep thinking, and sometimes they feel unsure of their opinion kind of like being valid.
Yeah.
So they hope that like somebody like Dave Chappelle, who's like his family was very involved in like the civil rights movement, and like he's had a lot of life experience, a lot of like traumatic like events in his life.
Yeah.
You kind of look to that, or like somebody like Bill Burr, right?
Yeah.
Who like he's experienced a lot. I think people kind of search for that like wisdom that they don't have themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. I think
Yeah.
it's fine. I think it becomes a problem when like I don't know, when people I guess look to like Andrew Tate, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody who's like doesn't really exist, like it's just a character.
Yeah.
But people search for like true like wisdom in his like sayings. I think that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Interesting.
But he's also not a comedian.
No, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
personally, I don't agree. Like, but that's because I really don't. I don't think anybody should value like, not maybe value,
Or
but
put
like,
people on a high standard.
I don't think people should take any celebrity of any like comedian, actor, or whatever. I don't think their opinions are at all higher than like yours or mine.
Yeah.
I feel like they're about the same,
Mhm.
if not exactly the same. So I personally don't like that. Like I agree. I think comedians have like I think they're necessary. Like I think
Mhm.
like they can like be a way to bring up taboo subjects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like a good venue for that. But I think calling them like a philosopher, I don't know. That to me doesn't. It's just kind of weird because it's like I agree. Like there's philosophers now, and I think about like how you said where it's like sometimes it can be like a comedian of color, and people of color will be like, oh yeah. But I think about like
Like they relate.
yeah, well, but like, I guess there's like part of that they get placed a little higher because it's like, oh, they're like a person of color who made it. Or so, I don't know. I don't know what I guess the way to articulate it is. But I think about that interview with like Malcolm X where he's like, show me in like the white community where like a comedian or a trumpet player or an actor is considered a white leader. You know what I mean? So I feel like people of color should value like actual philosophers' opinion. You know, like we should they should look to like actual people in those mediums, you know?
Mhm.
So that's why I personally am kind of like
I guess
Yeah.
I understand
what I
that
mean?
viewpoint.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good viewpoint. Yeah. What do you think, Chad? Was there ever any like stand-up comics that you liked?
Joe Coy, just
Joe
because I
Coy?
can relate to him. He's Filipino.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like he touches on like every Filipino like stereotype, which is
Yeah.
I think stereotypes too are kind of not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah.
I think people should learn to, laugh, like I said earlier, like laugh
Mhm.
about and embrace their
Yeah.
not stereotypes, but their culture and just overall just not take everything so serious.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting you bring
Yeah.
that up because as a result, because I guess a lot of my feed was based on like the comedy thing.
Yeah.
So somebody also came up talking about how how on TikTok there's a bunch of like I guess comedians, right,
Mhm.
who are not like stand-up comics, but they're online comics,
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
and they'll do like characters,
Yeah,
like
skits and stuff.
yeah, skits where they'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, the Mexican dad or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, like
or the
white
Philippine-
braising?
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
whatever it is. I'm not calling him out or anything, but the guy was going on to say that he feels like a lot of the characters are, what's it called, flandered eyes,
Slender?
where he was going on to say that like they're basically just getting lost in the like the stereotype, and that it's kind of becoming a little.
A little bit like a what's
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's an
Like
interesting.
a good thing or a bad thing?
Like
I guess
A
what
bad
he was
thing.
getting at was it was more bad.
Yeah.
Really?
But I don't know.
Okay. Well, do
like
you think it's a
they're
bad thing?
I don't know.
Like they're feeding into the stereotype.
I mean, I don't know if that's what that TikTok is saying, but that's the way I kind of was like thinking
Mhm.
about it, because we talk about it a lot, was like feeding into stereotypes.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't really know, because
Well, it's
Like-
weird because it's like I can relate it to, and I really didn't want to bring this up
Yeah.
because I know everybody's talking about it, but it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of the George Lopez thing.
yeah.
happened?
And
George
like
Lopez.
growing
You
up.
didn't hear about that?
Nah, what happened?
Oh, so
Oh, I guess it's a like Latino thing.
oh yeah. So
Yeah.
do you know who Ralph Barbosa is?
No, I'm
He's
sorry.
he's an up and coming. No,
Oh,
that's-
Rafa Bosa?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
up
From
and-
Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was funny, man.
Yeah,
he
that
just
fool is
he was
funny.
just on Jimmy Fallon or whatever.
He did like
And-
he did like
No, yeah. So he's up and coming.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
for sure.
It was George Lopez's podcast, right?
Yeah, it was
And so George Lopez had this podcast, and they were talking about how like the topic of like helping other Latinos, right,
Mhm.
came up, and
Mm.
the other guy was saying like, we need more like Ralph Barbosas in the world, like paving the way for like the younger generation and to help, And then George Lopez said, "Why the fuck are you saying his name? Nobody knows who the fuck that is." Basically,
He
this
said that you look out for yourself. Like
Yeah.
you don't look out for, don't like mentor anybody or look out for like the young Latino talent. When you
That's
look out for
sad.
someone, you should look out for yourself, right?
Oh.
So he got in
Um,
a lot of hot water for that. He recently I heard he apologized.
Yeah, in private
directly
Ralph,
to him,
yeah.
and that it was admirable.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
he has
know.
like a history of doing kind of similar
Lopez?
things.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
lot
I've
of people
heard
in the
he was
industry
kind
kind of always say that they meet him and he has a very cold shoulder to a lot of like Latinos.
Yeah.
Right. But I bring it up because like if you ever watch this show, I don't know if you ever did watch George
George
Lopez.
Lopez? Dude, I would
Yeah.
wake up in the middle of the night hearing the theme song, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
that's how I knew it was lit. It's like, holy
It's
crap.
like, oh shit, like it's like
Yeah.
2 a.m. right
Yeah,
now.
literally, man.
Yeah. But like me and my sister watched this show a lot.
Yeah, I used to watch it.
And I remember one of the things that I always talked about was that like I always had like a weird relationship with George Lopez. Is like kind of like I don't know what aura,
Representation?
like representation.
Of the
Because like
Mexican
he was
community.
the only other like brown guy that I saw who kind of looked like me, somebody who'd be part of my family. Like he'd be my
actually
tío,
really
you know.
dark
Like, you relate
skin.
to
Yeah,
him.
yeah. So I was like, that's cool. Like I it's cool that he's in the like mainstream media.
Like, you felt proud.
Yeah, but like one thing that always like, and I've said this since I was a kid. Like I always thought it was so weird, like that he plays like such a big stereotype in the George Lopez show, at least.
Mm.
That he's always like, even in his stand up, like he's always saying like the same things about like Mexicans. And like I didn't know how to feel about it because on one part it's
felt
like
conflicted in a way.
he's representing like my people, but on the other part he's like kind of holding us back. And so when like the Ralph Barbosa thing happened, I was like, damn, like it just made me pretty sad, bro.
Yeah,
It
no,
made me pretty
definitely.
sad. It's like,
You're supposed to like look out for,
yeah,
and not just your own. You
well,
look out for
like,
everyone. But
the Mexican identity is like super complex because it's like we were talking about earlier, like because of colonization, there's a lot of like
yeah,
Mexicans who are like more closely to like Europeans, like they're more white, like you said, like light skin, colored eyes, blonde hair,
for
like
sure.
especially in northern Mexico.
Uh-huh.
And so you see a lot more in media. You see a lot more of those type of like Mexicans, like people who are of the like European kind of leaning side.
Right.
And it's really rare to see somebody who's like George Lopez, like indigenous descent, like dark skin, like, like looking like he came out of like Apocalypto, like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like. And so like I always wanted to root for him, but like the way he kind of represented us was something that I couldn't relate to, because the stereotypes, like that he played, they were impartial, true. Like when I looked at Cousins and stuff, for the most part, I never really felt like that was a good representation of like me, you know. And like. And so I kind of get relating it back to what you're saying about how like on TikTok there's people who play characters and they're and that like it's one part of like building that community of like like I can relate to that, like it may not be me, but I saw that with my cousins and I saw that with some friends' family, like that's cool, like it's nice to feel communal, but like at one part does it like start to kind of like hold us back from evolving, you know?
Oh, that's a good point.
But I don't like.
We're not hating.
I don't hate on any of those people.
Because
I'd be laughing at them.
That's what I was saying. Like,
they be making me laugh.
Exactly.
I just bring it up because I thought it was interesting. But
it is.
I don't bring it up to like, I don't know. It's not a battle I'm trying to fight.
True.
Well, because I mean, kind of going to like, if we're talking about like the whole George Lopez thing of like, I would feel like I kind of. Like how Stevie said, like we would kind of feel like we related to him because of like some things that he would say, and we'd be like, oh yeah, that shit happens with our family or something like that. But not until eventually, like I guess, kind of like that whole part being brought up of like it's probably kind of setting us back. I never really thought about that until recently. Like I didn't start seeing that until recently, and I think it also goes back to like. I mean, we saw it when we kind of started getting like a little hate with like some of the things that we like talk about, of like people kind of putting us in this stereotype,
like putting you like in a jar and or like
in a box.
In a box, I mean, and not being able to like grow,
get out of that,
get out of it,
So I guess that's the other side of it, right?
For sure.
It's like we like I get it, like it's kind of like we are introducing kind of like our culture, but at the same time, it's kind of putting us just in one category.
Well, what's interesting is I remember in middle school, there was a couple teachers who did not like him, George Lopez. I remember we talked about it in school, and I don't mean on the podcast, but I remember kids talking about George Lopez, like the newest episode or something. And one of the teachers was like, she doesn't like him because she feels like the harmful stereotypes. I remember as a kid, I was like, you don't know. Like, you know?
For sure.
But it's interesting that it's kind of always been like around, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
No, definitely. Do you remember in the old show, I came up with the term, your Uncle George, your Tío George?
Yeah.
And as in like being like the stereotype like Mexican. Like,
because where does that come from?
It comes from like it's in the black community. They have
the black community has Uncle Tom, right?
Uncle Tom.
But I googled it. What the like Mexican translation for that is? It's Uncle Taco.
I feel like that was so. I feel like that in itself is like almost racist.
It's Uncle Taco or Tío Taco.
What?
Yeah.
I feel like, especially after that podcast.
Nah,
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna diss George either.
No, but that's why eventually you came up with the
George. I came with the George. It's crazy because like
as a joke though.
Yeah, it was a joke.
He's not.
But it's crazy now with the Ralph Barbosa thing. People actually are calling him relating him to an Uncle Tom. Yeah. So I was like, what an ironic thing that like the three of us were talking about that like.
Well, it's because like especially I think last year, we started rewatching George Lopez, and we were just like, damn, like there's
sometimes
some
things
shit
would happen,
said
bro,
out
I'd be
there. We were like,
that's crazy.
The one that I thought was interesting was the one where he's defending George Bush.
Oh yeah,
I was like, what? I don't remember this. Do you remember that episode?
Where he was? Was the actual episode?
Yeah, where George Bush shows up to the factory. And Carmen throws like a shoe at him or something.
It's like there's like protests.
Yeah, but
There's, like, a
Carmen's
protest.
there.
Yeah,
And then like George is like, now see here, you know, the America's like the greatest country in the world and stuff, you know?
yeah.
So it's, I don't know, kind of interesting, right? Because
Yeah,
I
definitely.
never expected
His colors were always there, I guess you could say. Of like,
well, I don't really remember that. And I don't remember that. Like I remember that episode because I remember as a kid thinking like, no way, they actually got George Bush. Like he must be
you know what was funny? And then you see the episode, and
It's
the
not
guy looks
anything
nothing like him.
Yeah.
As a kid, you were like, yo, they got George Bush.
Well, it's also because the reason I was surprised to see that was because George Lopez like hated Donald Trump. Like, remember he pissed on his star?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When that happened. Yeah, there was like a video he did where he took his dick out and he started peeing on the
The Hollywood star.
yeah, on the Hollywood star of Donald Trump. So I was just like, whoa, I didn't know.
No, I'm not gonna talk about this. It's just like I'm telling you, it's because I talked about this. We were on a different podcast, and we talked about this situation. And like one of the things that I brought up is
Shout out to
that I feel shout out to un poquito.
Check it out when it comes out.
But I talked about how I feel like it's because George is insecure about his Mexican identity. I feel like he tries to be like super Mexican like that, like peeing on Donald Trump's thing as to be like, yeah, you see,
Just
like
to be accepted.
I'm with the community.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't like uplift like people like Ralph Barbosa because he wants to protect like no, like I'm the Mexican dude.
Yeah.
Like
He wants to be
that's
the face
me.
of
Yeah, exactly. I'm the
And
face.
I think it's also like he's George Lopez, and you see like he like how you mentioned like he's very dark and like, and the jokes, a lot of it was that he's ugly, right? That he has a big head.
Bro, I
and all
hate
that
it. Oh
stuff.
yeah.
So I just think it's a lot of like, I think it's just a lot of like, it is a little bit of the insecurity of like he is the guy that you wouldn't think would come up, and like I think he is scared of like all his hard work kind of just being put back.
It's
You
crazy
know?
because I remember watching George Lopez and being like, "Damn, he's got drip." Because I feel he's got drip. in
I remember
George
his
Lopez.
hair when he
His
would
hair
always talk about his
slicks.
hair.
His hair
Yeah.
looks good, so I was like, bro, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself, bro.
Bro, that was one of the things too that I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten about that. That was one of the things too that so turned me off from the show, George Lopez show, is that there's like this running joke that like George Lopez is ugly when really like he's just like a dark skinned indigenous looking Mexican. Like a lot of people look like him. And it's like and it's weird because it teaches that like I guess like internalized racism of like like we're ugly because we're different, you know. And I don't know. To me, it always rubbed me the wrong way too.
Yeah,
How he's always like, I have a big head, you know, which is kind of funny because I feel like I have a big head.
But I think that's why how like going back to kind of like the hot take of it, it's like, I mean, if he's writing like his jokes, right? I think it's just him kind of like
coping with
whatever he was told in
that's a good
in
point.
Yeah,
the real life.
that is a
you
good
know?
point.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
He's probably joking that he's ugly because he's
That's
probably
messed up.
coping that he
It's
felt
coping.
he
And I
felt
mean, I
ugly
think-
growing up.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a self thing,
Probably
right?
bullied or something, I
He
don't know.
probably
Yeah.
also felt
Yeah.
that way, you know. He probably internally was like, I think I'm also
Oh, yeah.
like not that good looking,
I understand.
and he would
Yeah.
want to like laugh about it, like how he said
Exactly.
in the beginning.
Solid.
Yeah.
No, I
All
understand.
valid,
Yeah.
yeah.
But Julie, moving on from G-Lo, as I call him. You know how people call him J-Lo? Call him G-Lo. You wanted to talk about relationships, right?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Well, it was more like I guess a little like reflection on like relationships
Yeah,
and like
cool.
and what I'm talking about is like romantic relationships.
Yeah.
And it's mostly of like getting back into them because I feel like a lot of the things that I've been seeing recently is that people don't want to get into relationships because of like they're kind of scared to kind of like get heartbroken, you know.
Fair enough.
And one of the things that I always see is when people talk about like, I guess being in a relationship and like being in it for so long, and then people saying like they wasted their time in being in a relationship and all that. And I don't know. I feel like I was just a little like reflection on it because I was really scared getting back into a relationship. I was in a very, I mean, to just a little background, like I was in a relationship for like 6 years, and then like
Wow.
we broke up, and then I kind of was in my own thing of like I don't really trust people, and I didn't want to be in a relationship. And I think from there I did get into like another relationship. And I kind of was like in a back-to-back kind of thing. So once that ended, I got in another one, and then
Was it, like,
once
right
that
away?
ended, it was like a little bit, like not super right away, but just
Right.
like a little bit of a gap.
Okay.
And then eventually I kind of, at the time, I was just like, the last relationship was only like a couple of months. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'd rather just be by myself.
Find
And
yourself.
I know that a lot of people,
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people are also like very fearful of like being alone.
For sure.
And I think being like by yourself like teaches you a lot about yourself because like you're so used to being in relationships. So I don't know. It was more of like a question for you guys or like however you guys feel about it of like getting back into relationships and if you guys have fears in those. For me, just to like give a little more of like my own thing is that I was scared of like, I guess going into it and like being heartbroken. And like, I think a big thing I guess that people should learn is that you shouldn't, I guess, like deprive or like, you shouldn't take yourself away from getting into those moments. And I know I'm probably just speaking on because like of like my own of like it's going pretty well and all that stuff and like who knows, right?
Yeah. The honeymoon stage.
But but I think it's just a lot of like you shouldn't take away yourself from like having those moments, you know. And I don't think you should
agree.
also see it as like you'll waste your time.
Yeah.
Because I think it as like your own person, like if you're giving your all and like you're doing everything that you can to be in that relationship, I feel like you know that you did right. And I don't think you should ever feel like you wasted your time. As long as you know that you did your part,
best.
you know. And I think like that would be like my biggest like advice on it. But yeah, I was just thinking about it because I was like, I feel like I don't know how, if you guys see this, but I feel like we are in like this thing, especially people in our age who are scared, you know, or are scared to get into it because of maybe just past things and like just having trust issues and like,
or they've never done it before.
Or they've never done it before. And I feel like that's something that I wanna go off of it because of like TikTok is what I see and like people being like, no, like I wasted my time on this and like I don't want to get in a relationship. And I think for me, my fear was getting heartbreak, but eventually I learned that I think my fear was that like the aftermath, because I feel like from my last relationship and the last breakup, I think I went into a really, really dark place that I felt like I didn't want to go back into, which is why I didn't want to get in a relationship in the first place. And I didn't realize it until later on. I don't think it was like getting heartbroken. I'm like, okay, like whether it happens or it doesn't happen, like it'll kind of like I'll be hurt, right? But I think my biggest fear is like going back into like that dark place and like being like super sad and like being like super lonely. And I guess now what I kind of saw is that I'm not alone. Like I still have like my friends. And like, and I had this talk with one of my friends because I was really like, when I got into my relationship, I was really, really scared. And I remember being like, I don't want to do this. Like, I just want to like, I want to back out. Like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
I'm not ready for the heartbreak again.
And then I eventually was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not scared of like the heartbreak. I think I'm more scared of like me, myself being super dark again and like going back. Cause I know the person that I turned into after my breakup. And I know that I was just very, very like mean, like to myself mostly, like mean to myself. And like, I like just isolated and like, I was just like, cause at the same time, I feel like nobody really knew about it. So I was kind of like, I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. So, but now, and like, I'm grateful for like my friend and like talking to her about it. Cause she was like, you're not alone this time. Like you've kind of expressed like yourself and like, you've shown us like who you are and all that stuff. And she was very, reassuring of like, you're not by yourself if anything happens this time. Like you have us, you have all of us.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
And I think that gave me more of the reassurance and the courage to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna stay in this and see how it goes. You know? And I think it's been like really cool to just have like that reflection and like if there's anyone who is like going through that they should be open to the idea of it if they want to, if it's their thing of like wanting to get in a relationship, I guess, to like not really be scared. And again, how I said, like, I guess take yourself away from that, you know? I think everyone is very deserving of love. I think everyone kind of needs it, and whether it's through like friendships or like through like an actual romantic relationships. But that was like my thing of like I was recently reflecting, and I don't know if anyone wanted to hear about that.
No,
but I hope
Yeah,
somebody, I hope somebody does, because I'm like, I don't think you should really always stay in that. And I've been there before, like how I said, like I've been there where like I was just really sad about things going on in my life.
Yeah.
But I think if there is a chance where you feel like you want to, just try it out. I feel like it's a lot of like, it's an experience.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, I think
yeah.
everything's a learning experience, and
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask you, do you feel like grateful in some weird way that what you went through happened, and now you feel
Mhm.
more, you learn more about yourself,
Yeah.
and you've grown as a person. Like in some way, yeah, it's sad that that thing had to happen, but in another way, you're happy
Mhm.
that it happened. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm really grateful that it happened.
Yeah.
And I think it really did make me like how I said, I reflected a lot on it. And I was just very like, I kind of started feeling like I knew what I wanted and I didn't want. And I think
Yeah.
being in a relationship that long also taught me of like what I can tolerate and what I
Yeah.
can't tolerate
Exactly.
in a relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where are my limits? Where are my
Like,
things of
yeah.
like, if this happens, like that's it. Like we talked about it.
All your
we
red
do-
flags that you look
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm also grateful that it happened to me at a like young
Younger
age.
yeah.
You know, because I
That's a
feel
good
like
point.
it taught me a lot. Like now, as being a young adult and kind of knowing that.
Exactly.
So I am grateful of like what had happened. Of course, like
Sucks
it was
that it
a-
had to happen. Yeah.
it sucks that it happened, but again, like how you said and like how I'm saying, like it's a lot of like it's an experience, you know. I think there's just things that you kind of have to go through life to experience and to see, so you can understand a little bit more about yourself and what you want.
I totally agree with that.
And I think that's why I was like, even then, like I was in such a long-term relationship
Yeah,
that I
6 years?
didn't that
Like,
I didn't
low-key,
really know a lot about myself anymore. You know, I didn't.
You felt lost. Like you didn't
Mhm.
feel like your own person. You felt like you're part of that person.
Yeah.
Rather than just an individual self. And
Yeah. So I think that was also like the big part of like learning about myself, knowing what I like and what I don't like. And like I've expressed in like the podcast that like I went through my own little phase of like being single. And like I think I explored
The
myself.
city girl phase?
The city girl phase.
City girl stand up.
City girl stand
up.
Yeah. And I feel like just because I think I personally went through like just other things of like I didn't like how I looked, or I didn't like, I guess, like myself, or and I guess having that breakup helped me kind of find that.
Of course, yeah.
And it helped me like kind of like who I was and like all that stuff.
Like appreciate yourself. even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think also like just a little like of just that of like it just helped me a lot, I guess, be who I am now, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think in the relationship that I am now, I think I'm still learning a lot about myself and like the traumas that I still have of past relationships.
For sure.
At
At least you're more aware of it now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what was cool is that I generally was going through like my healing
Phase. Stage. Yeah.
and I think I remember getting into a relationship made me feel like I didn't want to do it because I was like, I'm in my healing phase. I still haven't fully healed from like my past.
Yeah. You don't want to rush into things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I kind of realized that like my relationship has been still helping me in that healing phase of like now we communicate and like now we talk if like I have an issue, like we'll talk
you
about
bring up
it.
stuff you don't like, bottle it
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to like fucking
sure.
like
Yeah,
keep everything
fucking
in.
keep everything in.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, because it was just like I don't know. I think it's also like a
Defense mechanism.
defense mechanism
For
of
sure.
like trauma of like if you bring something up, like
It's
you
gonna
never
lead
know
to
how
this,
the other
it's
person
gonna
will
take it.
react.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
lead to like something.
That's so true.
Um,
That's very true. No,
Yeah.
No, that's real.
So that's why I think a lot of it was just that, but that's why a lot of it was kind of like testing of
Testing the
like
waters.
if I bring this up, how will you lash out? But I think it's also I learned from like the past relationship of like if he lashes out, then that means something of like he's not mature enough for me to have this conversation,
Yes,
so
exactly.
I shouldn't really stay with him,
Yeah.
right?
Very true. Very true.
So I think you just learn, and I think that's why I say I'm also grateful that I learned it at a young age, and like
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I'm not
course.
saying like I'm perfect and
Yeah, we
like my
learn every
relationship
day.
is perfect,
Mhm.
but I'm
No
just
one's
saying
perfect,
like like it's a learning experience, and it's something that like that you kind of go through, you know?
Exactly.
You go through and you learn.
You grow as an individual. Yeah. Like, yeah. And I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, but I agree to that sentiment somewhat. But just relationships in general. I just get into my first relationship ever, and it's kind of it's great. It's, you know, like I shout out to her. You know, go ahead. Okay.
Shout out.
I bet it. No, but, God, I'm so cringy. Sorry, guys.
Nah, that was real.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying because I feel like I'm learning that as well. Even though it's my first relationship, we just hit a year, so it's definitely has its ups and downs. You know, nothing's perfect. Like I said, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through and that what we've gone through. You know, it's like a team effort. I've heard something like a relationship 50-50, right? But in my opinion, I think it's 100-100. You know, you're not supposed to give. You're supposed to give everything of yourself, not just 50% of yourself. You know, and especially with the parties like communication, I think that's definitely a big factor in that. And I don't know, relationships are hard. I just feel like, yeah, because I was
they're
always
work. They're work.
Yeah, they're work.
They're for sure.
I just I've been single for like 22 years, 21 years, whatever like that. And I was like, damn, I really want a girl. I was like, I didn't know what to expect. And not just saying I rushed into it, but I'm really grateful that I, you know, have a person and I could, you know, call her whenever I want, or, you know, just someone to rely on. But yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the other things for myself was also getting out of like this like mentality of like how relationships should be. Yeah. Of like, well, you see in movies, or like I kind of grew up with novelas and like seeing like how like men are supposed to be and like how they're supposed to fight for you and like there's shit that you go through that you should like, that is fine, like whatever it is, like there's shit that you should kind of accept that happens in a relationship. For sure. And I remember, I think I was so stuck on that of like how novelas are and like how movies are and like how they'll do like romantic gestures for you every single time or whatever. And like that's I think not always the case. Yeah. Where it's like and it's like I feel like for a good while I also had to get myself out of that of like that mentality of like it's not a fairy tale, you know, it's not all like this and that, all sunshines and rainbows. And it's not like it'll just naturally, I mean some of it is naturally, but some of it is also like you have to work and like do stuff, you know, because it's like you're all different individuals, and like he doesn't think the same way I think, and like that's why you have to always have that open communication. And so I was just, for a good while I had to get myself out of that. I don't know how I did it, but I was kind of like, well, I think it's just more of I thought of like, like they're not me, you know, they're not the same exact person as me. They don't think like me. They might not have the same values as me. Your own person. I'm my own person. Yeah. So it's been cool so far.
This is all to say. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. That's cool. I like watching both of you guys. You guys are both basically just like, you guys had me like kicking my feet and shit. Like I felt the love. Like you guys, I felt the romanticism. You guys though, like us. Yeah. We on our city boy shit. Yeah.
They're watching. They're watching us. You know. Yeah. They're like, they're writing down. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to hear you guys talk because like a lot of it's not that like it doesn't really make sense in my mind, but not because like I think what you guys are saying isn't valid, but it's because I can't relate it, you know, to anything because I'm not in a relationship. So I'm like, damn, like I'm hearing you guys talking. I'm like, damn, like, what does this mean? Like, what do you guys mean? Like, you guys like obviously you guys aren't the same person, but like, what? Like, you guys aren't the same, but you are the same. No, yeah. So I'm just here being a listener. Okay, taking. It'll make sense one day, I guess. Yeah.
Are you in any rush? What? Are you in any rush? No, right?
No, not really. I feel like with me, it's. I feel like I'm in this like. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's single kind of says they're on like a journey of self-discovery, right? For sure. Yeah. But for me, I feel like I've never had such like a deeper connection with myself than I have right now as like a 24-year-old dude. Yeah. And sometimes I trip myself up because I'm like, damn, like what if I get into a relationship and I just forget like who I am, You know,
Like you lose yourself.
yeah. Kind of. I guess what you were saying. There's
Like
like
the
this,
fear.
like there's like this fear, but it's not necessarily like a fear of like, oh, I'm scared to get in a relationship. It's more of like the unknown makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And like that
Definitely.
idea of like being how you guys are saying like so vulnerable with someone
Yeah.
else,
Mhm.
to me is such like a weird idea that it's like it's hard to wrap my mind around. Of like, I don't know, like I don't know if I'd if that sounds as like attractive and welcoming as you guys make it sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like obviously with vulnerability comes like a lot of things that you say about yourself and you learn about
Yes,
yourself
definitely.
that sometimes can be like ugly, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
like I guess that like intimidation more than
Yeah.
fear
Mhm.
of like,
Intimidation.
damn, like for real. I saw this.
Good
I
point.
saw this TikTok yesterday that I thought was funny, where it's like I'm afraid to get into a relationship because what if we never break up?
Oh, shit.
and I thought it was something that I kind of was like,
That's crazy.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Like
of,
marriage.
like,
Low key, I feel like I remember going through that. Because I think I also had those two fears. I had the fear of the relationship ending, and I had the fear of the relationship also never ending.
Yeah. You're kind of
Because
like
it's kind of
stuck.
like, because it's, yeah, well, not stuck. It's not like being stuck in like a bad way, but it's
Uh-huh.
like this is it. Like this is the
Yeah.
adult moment of like that everyone talks about, of like you finding your person and like being with this person kind of forever, right? And I remember the thought of that. I mean, and this was before I got into a relationship, but I remember the thought of that always scared me. Of like, fuck, like this is it.
This is it,
Like,
yeah.
This is it. This is it right here.
Yeah.
The end game.
Yeah.
for real, yeah. For real, yeah. But how does it feel for both of you guys? Because I think both of you guys are in interracial relationships. How does that feel?
Oh, it's. Oh, really? You're in a. Oh,
My boyfriend's white.
oh, that's what's up. My girl's well, she's white, but she's also half Mexican.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. But either way, that's still interracial for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's true.
For a second, I was like, oh, she's Mexican, so it's only like half interracial. But I'm like, wait a minute. You're Filipino.
He's not Mexican.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you in my mind, I just see you as like,
Yeah.
you're just part of the fam.
Thank you, man. Yeah, hell yeah.
But how does it feel? Is there any like weird cultural shocks for you guys?
You can go.
Kinda. I think my culture very, and I'm not trying to talk down on her,
No,
her
of
culture or
course,
anything
yeah.
like that, but I'm very family oriented. So like, for me, family comes first. Like no matter what, like that's just the way I was brought up. That's just the way I feel. I'm an only child too, so like, you know what I mean? Like that's all I got.
That's all I
got. That's literally all I got. Like shit. I'm really like the one out here, so it's like, yeah. So it was a shock for her because I have a big family. Like I have a lot of cousins and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
kind of hard for her to adjust and get used to the fact like, yeah, I have like this big ass family, and she hasn't even met like the whole family too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, a culture shock in her sense, but culture shock for me and like the like white community, it's different for sure. It's cool. I like it's very interesting. It's like
the white people are different for sure.
yeah. Like there's definitely people are definitely different. Like she has a small family, so it's kind of cool in a way because I get along. Thankfully, I get along with everyone in her family, so it's not like a crazy like dispute or like differences and stuff like that. But as far as like the white community and stuff like that, it's really cool. Honestly,
I recommend it.
Yeah. Like I highly recommend it. But like, I feel like I'm not trying to like sound weird or anything like that, but like I feel like they get a bad rap sometimes. You know what I mean?
I get you.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like
No, just kidding.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We get you. You have a lot of
Cool.
empathy.
I don't
'cause
see. I don't see her race is what I'm trying to say. I don't see like her whiteness as like an issue or as like a.
She might as well be Filipina.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Literally, bro.
Yeah, I get
Honestly,
you.
yeah, she is.
I always tell my boyfriend, I'm like, you're just gonna be white Mexican. Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna be
The
white
Whitexican?
Yeah, the white
the token white guy. The token, yeah.
I think for me,
cool.
I mean, I feel like I haven't really felt like a difference a lot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was really nervous meeting his family. Because I remember
It's gonna be like,
I
get
was-
out.
Yeah. because I feel like I kind of remember having a conversation with him, and I remember him kind of like preparing me to like meet his family one day. It wasn't like it was the next day or whatever. It was just like, oh, Sunday. Like I think he was scared of like his parents saying something, like trying really hard to like connect with me, I guess.
They're like, oh, I love George Lopez.
I feel like we vaguely had like a small conversation about it.
Tacos are my favorite food.
But we had like it honestly, when I met his parents, it was just like a very unplanned thing because I just went to his house and his parents happened to just be home.
I think that's even better.
And what was funny was that I was nervous because I was like wearing like my hoop earrings and I was wearing like my huaraches too.
Nice.
You were making your brown presents.
Yeah, I was wearing everything. Well, we were gonna go out. We were gonna go out, but I was like, I'm gonna drive. I didn't want to wear my heels, so I put on my huaraches. And then I still had my hoop earrings because I was like, oh, we're gonna go out. And I was like, I hope they don't. I was like, I hope they like me.
Yeah.
And so then I just went in there and they just were asking me about myself. They were like, oh, where did you go to school and blah blah. And it was so like, and they're very talkative.
Yeah.
Like his parents are very very talkative. So they were just like asking me questions and like asking me about myself and everything. And so it was just very, I guess for me, since I'm like, we do this and we just talk. I just was just like talking and like.
You cut a podcast.
Yeah. And it was just like super natural and like just talking to them.
Yeah.
It didn't.
That's great.
It wasn't like bad or anything. I've met like some of his family. His family are like, for the most part, some of them are like out of state because I think his mom is from like Iowa and then his dad is from Texas, I think.
Okay.
So they're like out.
Damn.
And all that.
White.
Yeah.
White, bro.
And so yeah, it's been interesting. I think
That's cool,
I
though.
mentioned to like Steve and Brandon sometimes that I am scared that people will kind of like start categorizing me there a lot of like, because I know that a lot of like things that I've seen on the internet is like people say like, oh, the reason that they date you is probably because they saw you that you are white. Like you kind of reflect a little.
You're white enough for them.
Yeah, you're white enough for them. Or something like that, right?
No, that makes sense.
And I feel like especially I've seen a lot going around of like, oh, the like Latinos are down because they're dating white men or something like that. And I feel like I've seen that a couple of times. And I don't know, I think sometimes I'm in that fear of like being like that and people saying like I'm betraying my own culture. It hasn't really happened. I haven't seen it. I've seen it like in some messaging where like people just like some shit that says that.
Right.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah,
like a
like-
post or something.
Yeah,
right?
like they post about it or like they'll like a tweet on like Twitter and like it'll show like who like the Latinos are down for dating like white men or what do you guys see in white men or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And I'm like,
Are you
I'm
against
like-
that or like? Well, obviously you're with him. But
Wait,
like not against it, but like, do you feel some type of way towards it?
Yeah, for the most part, I do because I'm kind of like what am I feel like what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Of like, is it really that bad or like, is there something
No.
that I'm not getting?
Yeah.
you like who you like, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see
Yeah.
Like-
right?
Yeah.
like race or ethnicity. It's like,
You didn't see
issue.
him and we're like, oh my god, yes, this
Yeah.
is my chance
Yeah.
to
White
join.
guy, yes.
Yeah,
Bag this white guy.
white guy.
Bag this white
Because
dude
I
real
mean,
quick.
especially like I'm a very like
You're pretty
I'm-
Mexican.
yeah, I'm pretty
You're pretty
Mexican.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, speak Spanish on the pod right
culture.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. But I mean overall like it's like me and him and like the blending of our families has been like fine.
Yeah,
I mean
that's great.
our parents haven't met.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm kind of
Wow.
like interested to see how that'll go.
Can I ask how long you guys been dating?
We're gonna do 11 months this month.
Oh, damn. You guys
Yeah.
about to hit a year.
Yeah.
Shit,
So next
nice.
month, yeah.
Cool. Nice.
It's so funny
Nice.
because you're in a relationship, so you're like, ooh, like 11 months. Like I remember, like 11
Yeah.
months.
It was just like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but that's
Yeah.
funny though.
But it's funny because it feels like it's been a while. Like it's
Mhm.
been such like longer than a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been going pretty well. I do. I am sometimes when I'm like, this is weird. Like I'm like white people shit.
Yeah. Have you seen the You People on Netflix?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Actually.
That's what it reminds
Yeah.
me of. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
Like,
she was saying the whole movie. She's like,
Yeah.
"This is what my boyfriend feels like."
yeah. I mean, like same here. Like, yeah, that's how I feel.
I was watching that shit and I was like, "Yo, like it'd be like that for real."
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would like that was like one of my things of like, I guess getting not. It wasn't like the first thing when I 1st met him. I didn't even think about it. I was just like,
Exactly.
I was
just
just
liked him.
really
You just
into
liked
him.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just liked him.
Yeah.
And then not until eventually when I started seeing like things like on the internet and stuff.
That's
And
when you
like
started
they'll
questioning.
make jokes about it too, and I was
Yeah,
just
yeah, of
like,
course.
damn.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, am I really doing something wrong? Like,
Yeah.
is it really wrong, or why is it so wrong?
Yeah.
And I remember,
Well, I
I
mean-
always talk to Stevie about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the product of interracial relationships, like right there.
Literally.
Look at it. He's looking at me right now.
Yeah.
And look, is he a bad guy? Are you a devil? You know how people
I don't
used
know.
to
He's
call
White
mean
devil?
to
because
me.
people, people used to call interracial kids like devils, like
Devils.
demons. Yeah, like long. Look into maybe that's
That
your people.
explains so much.
That explains so much.
Yeah,
They would
they
be
used
devil
to
babies?
back in the day. Interracial kids were seen as
Yeah.
like a mistake, like
Yeah.
a disgrace, like
Yeah.
like so.
And I think it's interesting because like,
You're like, damn,
it's
like,
yeah, I
new,
Am I?
new insecurity unlocked.
Aw.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, I just think it's interesting because I feel like now I've been seeing like I guess being now a part of like an interracial relationship,
Yeah.
you kind of see a lot more of kind of that side, and it's not just like I guess me as a Mexican getting with like a white guy is
Yeah.
like the issue. I think in general it's just an issue with like other cultures too
Yeah.
of like interracial relationships
sure.
happening. Because I've seen the talks about it in like other communities where they're like, oh no, like I'm only
your
gonna
own
stay,
kind.
I'm only gonna stay with my
Yeah,
culture
yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I hate people who want to like mix or whatever. And I think that's crazy. That's crazy to
is
see that
crazy.
side.
Yeah.
Like it's still like a thing of like
Yeah.
kind of hating on it, you
Yeah.
know?
I feel like it's more accepted nowadays, but like
No,
interracial.
I mean, yeah, well, we
couples and
progressed, but for sure it's still
For sure, it's still
exists.
there.
It's still
yeah.
a thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's for sure still a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think it's super interesting.
yeah.
Very
It's an interesting thing that I never thought I would be in.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
But I'll go ahead and wrap up this episode, bro. Chad, this is a really good episode.
Thank
I
you.
loved
Thank you for
every
having me.
fucking
Thank you
single
for having me.
second of this.
Hell yeah,
Thanks for
dude.
coming, bro. Like I said, you're the unofficial like fourth member. Izzy's gonna be mad about that one. But you really are. We know each
Thank
other
you,
since we were
thank you,
kids.
thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming on the show.
You're always welcome anytime.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I love you
Yeah,
guys.
of course. For everybody viewing, thanks for viewing us. Should go ahead and do what you got to do.
Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Todo Chido TV.
And
Check
love
us
who you
out.
gotta love.
Yeah.
Love
Love
who you gotta love.
Love who you gotta love.
Shout out
And
to
make
all
sure
the
you guys
Filipinos.
subscribe to our YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, YouTube. If you
We
guys
really
want to watch
appreciate
us. But y'all also can just listen to us on Spotify, on Apple, and Google Podcasts.
Anywhere podcasts are listened. But we'll
Yep.
see you guys next week.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya.
Mabuhay.